Hello. Testing. 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 Juniper's here. We're ready. We're ready for the stream. Sometimes when I wear a baseball cap, I feel like I look conservative, and that's a hindrance to me wanting to wear one in the first place. Anyway, I'm hoping the queerness sets it off. That's not a profound conclusion. Hello, Turd Bomb. Welcome. How are you doing? Welcome. It's another day, another stream in fascist America, the United States of America. Welcome to whatever this is, an attempt at providing education, advocacy, and a little common sense in this digital wasteland. I'm Aubri Devashrayee, for better or worse. It's better than Monday. Glad to hear it. Yeah, especially with all the bullshit you're dealing with managers. Have any of your colleagues, I don't know if you've talked to them about it, but if they've experienced anything similar, I would be curious about that. Have some solidarity there, especially if you have experienced something. Most likely other people have too. But I'm glad to hear that things are better. You're able to vent to trusted coworkers. Amazing. Love that. Yeah, that's very needed. All right. Welcome to the people who are here interested in creating a better world, who would like to see our shared humanity in one another. It does not mean that we don't call out bullshit, that we are doormats, that we don't have robust discussion, and even engage in good faith criticism. However, for the people who are here with ill intent, may you receive what you give. All right. Oh, Jesus. I'm sliding all over the place in this chair. Hi, buddy. Hi. I missed my chance. He's so stealthy. I usually just see him when he leaves. It's sad. Today we've had some birds in our yard that are rustling up some dust because I think it's keeping them cool. And they have been perched on the windowsill, and then it's been driving Kit crazy. I mean, he loves it, but I don't think they can see him. So he just is watching on the windowsill while there are all of these birds that well, I'm glad he has some entertainment. But yeah, the birds have been acting very strange. Maybe just because it's so hot. But even getting really close to the window and kind of tapping at the window, which is interesting. I don't know what that means. They're please let us out of this heat hellhole. Shitty manager's name is Kyle, which explains a lot. I think it is hard to trust many Kyles, I have to say. What is the meme that was going around of Kyle's just drink a ton of Monster? That's kind of a millennial joke, but we're millennials here. Suffice to say, we talked about how he does the same shit that we get in trouble for. Projection. Yeah. Rules for me and not for thee, but some other higher ups are starting to feel sour towards him. The fox racing hat at this. Yeah, I'm glad that, people are talking about it so that you aren't feeling alone, and also that other people are noticing, not just your own colleagues, but the managers. Hopefully, he will have some sort of consequences, but Isn't that so interesting? People who are often engaging in like bad faith, who often are not having correct behavior that they project onto others to deflect from their own behavior. And it's like humans are just so predictable. That's not even that clever, you know? Anyway, oh, I forgot to do this in the intro. Namaste, welcome to the people with good intent. I already did the the more wordy intro, but I want to give people a namaste, seeing the spirit in one another. All right. Today we have a lot of witchy vibes, which I think is very fitting for me. I resonate with this, clearly. Before we do this, I want to watch some pop culture moments. Good intent squad. Yeah, exactly. Um, I think it's good to get some variety with the humorous videos, take a trip down memory lane. Again, I have not seen this video, like the video on Monday I had not seen, so I don't know what this will bring to us. So this will be a fresh reaction, but this video is called Pop Culture Moments from the Pits of Hell, and that sounds like that's my speed. That's definitely up my alley. Um, as we are talking about these modern day witch hunts that are happening from the conservative, fascist, colonizers, capitalists, all of the above, especially when it comes to leftist politics, as they are losing their power, once again, we have to call out that they get increasingly violent, paranoid, fear mongering. So this is only building. I did want to highlight a video by Prince Shakur, who has really great content. Highly recommend their content. And this video is called Reacting to Marco Rubio's Ministerial on Left Wing Violence. So we'll be talking about that in terms of a modern day witch hunt. We will be having Banned Book Club talking about the reading of finishing this section of Winter, or at least like this first chapter that is in the section of Winter. I guess I should put it like that. So we'll be watching more of a Toni Morrison interview. There is some analysis that I would like to read. And then there is this video by Intellectual Media. They also have some really great content, and it is called A Black Woman's History of Hoodoo, Conjure, and Witchcraft. So I think this is extremely interesting and relevant, in particular, as we are working to decolonize the world, have a decolonized history. And then I would like to get into the history of Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft. This all has to do with current events, in my mind, as well as what we are reading with Macbeth, so connecting the dots in that way. All right, shall we get into it? This is by the account Shush. I like that name. See, I guess I shouldn't have gone full screen quite yet. Excuse me. There we go. Shush. All right, I don't want to look at the comments yet because there are spoilers, even though I may have seen some of these. Who knows? I've not seen this whole video. I do not know what I will be familiar with or not. Ooh, look up pictures of Hecate from the game Hades too. Yeah, Hades, not Hades. I mean, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that game. That sounds interesting. That also sounds like something I would like. Um, Hecate, seems like she would be extremely hot. All right. I am looking up some pictures. Let's see. Oh, that's one of the first things to pop up after Hecate. Yes. Wow, you're right. You're right. The abs, I know. The underboob, the color scheme, the hat. Yeah, all of it. You're right. No arguments there. Thank you for the reference. I love that. I do have an adult drink today, so I have that as one of the tags for the stream. I do err on the side of caution with the tags for the stream of like, we may be talking about things that are violent, maybe talking about things that are sexual, maybe talking about drinks or intoxication. Yeah, because I would rather have people come in informed. I do realize that this possibly is like making it so not as many people see the stream, but you know, I'd rather have people know what they're getting themselves into and also have the freedom to feel like I can talk about what I want. So, there we go. I have not seen this moment, I don't think. Also, why does Ellen look like one of the Dylan Sprouse twins? One of the Sprouse twins. She looks like a Sprouse triplet. I had my first porter beer recently. Ooh. So interesting and good. I know, I'm kind of all over the place with beer. I think my main issue is that it can just like make me feel bloated. And sometimes I'm like, was that particularly tasty? I don't know, but it got the job done. That's kind of my perspective. I'm not super particular about my alcoholic beverages, which I realize is not what is considered like good taste to some, but also like taste is subjective. And mostly alcohol is like a means to an end for me. I rarely drink more than one beer. Yeah, unless there's like something exciting happening, you know? And like even if people are wanting to, like that's great. I support you. But yeah, mostly I'm like, this makes me feel bloated. But also, I do like Coronas. I do think they're very good. La cerveza más fina. Okay, let's see what this has in store for us.
And now, are y'all both, do you have girlfriends?
No, we are single men.
Why would this picture of Debbie Ryan? Whatever happened to Debbie Ryan? Whatever happened? I'm going to be looking her up. I'll be doing that while we're continuing to watch this. The pointed look. Yeah, what an insane question to ask. Yeah, why is that something that adults are always asking minors? That is concerning to... I think that should be concerning to all of us. Do you have a girlfriend? Or like, do you have a boyfriend? Not only is it like very gendered, it's also like a way of like you are imposing like a certain gender on someone. Also, it is a lot of the time very heteronormative of like for girls or who are perceived as girls to be like, oh, do you have a boyfriend who is being perceived as a boy? Is like, do you have, wait, did I say that backwards? To the perceived girl's boyfriend, to the perceived boy's girlfriend. There we go. Yeah, where it's like, okay, who are you to say? Who are you to be making all of these assumptions? Why are you asking these questions? It's very weird.
I'm actually looking for a Christian girl with morals and values.
I mean, they're pretty funny, I have to say that.
Gay guys, hey guys. Also, gay. It sounded like I said gay guys. Speaking of gay guys, happy Pride Month. Gay guys and gay gals, and everybody in one foot in one foot in the other. I don't know.
Pop culture pop.
I haven't seen that. I'm surprised I haven't seen that before. I feel like there are so many like queer specific pop culture moments, especially before a certain time period that I'm familiar with. Before most of these like pop culture moments have been like pulled from TikTok. But I love that.
What did Debbie Ryan go into the Disney Channel to make?
My one thing was I went into the Disney Channel building and I sat down with the president of Disney Channel and I said, I want to make history. And that's what this is.
How does Pink respond to being told she looks like $1 million?
Look like $1 million.
What did Tiffany learn out of 40?
Oh, yes. Tiffany Pollard, Tiffany New York Pollard. Most of pop culture, not all, but a good portion of pop culture really is to do with the pioneering icon that we know as Tiffany New York Pollard.
I was bored, so I ruined lunch purposely, and I had fun doing it.
Make sure to subscribe so you're
Hello, Aliana Bunso. Welcome. How are things with you?
unprepared for a spontaneous pop culture pop quiz ever again. Enjoy the video, Bessie.
I'll tell you a story about being early that was a ruiner for me. It was an audition. I was auditioning for
I've never understood what the appeal has been about the Jonas Brothers. Maybe this is that was just something I never got. I never got on that train. What does that even mean? Like, who are they appealing to mostly? That's the main question I have. I know growing up Mormon, they were very popular with the Mormons. Not this one though. Also, with that clip of Debbie Ryan, I am currently trying to look up where she is. What happened to you, Debbie? Where are you? Like mildly attractive dudes playing mildly exciting music. I know. I am always very concerned as well of when kids have parents that are very intense and they are in show business, that I'm like, this just looks like child exploitation to me. And I'm worried for these children. I'm good in a couple of days. Wow. Spend about 300 on mutual aid. Yeah, I mean, also make sure that you are taking care of yourself. And I'm glad you're protecting yourself.
and no,
Spider-Man.
We don't need to name all the things I didn't get. I would like to. It's
Those
one
are two of them.
Oh.
Wait a minute, you know what, Christy?
Take it out the hallway.
All right, listen, Nose.
Leave it to Kathy.
Better keep getting Botox.
Listen, Nose.
Chloe's grandma.
That's crazy.
That's right. With that nose of yours.
Dorit, so which class goes well with Coke?
I wouldn't know! Sour Patch!
Wait, I was looking up the Debbie Ryan thing.
Class goes well with Coke.
Class, are these like classes that she's offering? You know, I'm glad you're able to do that, Bunso, but also making sure that you have what you need as well is important. Wikipedia. I'm looking at Wikipedia. Will this have answers for us about Debbie Ryan? Where is she now? This is invasive, probably, to be like, why aren't you in the public eye? Okay. Here we go. Ryan and her husband live in Columbus, Ohio. Okay, so they had a baby. Seems like 2023, that's kind of been the cutoff. She was everywhere for a while. Anyway, we do have an ad break starting in 30 seconds, as a heads up.
I wouldn't know! Sour Patch!
What? I know the fuck you didn't. Just say that.
Do we have time for one more?
One more.
Biggest dick.
biggest
Ick.
Oh.
Oh, Hallie. I was like, what?
It sounded like that, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
She's lying.
Oh, it did to me.
There was something about the car. It's like the word biggest with the word ick.
It just
She's
went-
right.
It is.
Well, you know, I have a very rare experience with this because I haven't really worked with many directors, and so the idea that
And the ones you have, you didn't like.
well,
It's right in the documentary.
Well,
the other one, the
yeah, right. But anyway, the idea that
What's your favorite actor?
That was Alyssa Edwards, drag queen, who has been on RuPaul's Drag Race, who also had the show Dancing Queens, I think. Is that what it was called on Netflix, about her dance studio in Texas?
Probably LMAO or OMG. I do it actually in IRL. I'm constantly doing that kind of thing. Like, OMG,
Oh my god, OMG, no, like LMAO. Like, yo, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that made me LOL.
where she's gradually sort of.
Keke Palmer is one of the biggest contributors to meme culture, I think. Food, clean water, shelter. That is true. I mean, like, being able to give back when we can, that is important. But yeah, I mean, especially in, like, your current circumstances, like, I'm glad that things are better than what they were. But yeah, also making sure that you have what you need to. But I admire that you are able to recognize what you have, the blessings that you do. I'm saying blessing not in, like, a religious way, because usually that word in my mind is kind of associated with that, but just, like, looking for things to be grateful for, you know?
Grating. And did you hear that throat gurgle?
I did. I think the boom will catch that.
What the actual
Yeah.
F was that? Is that like panic, or is it?
It almost was like
or
the
is it?
scene.
That's what Shishido said.
It was
That is
almost
what
like the
Shishido
scene.
said, guys. That's exactly what she said.
Am I supposed to ask you questions as
No,
well?
absolutely not.
Well, I just like
Don't even talk to me.
no, but
Don't
I
even
think-
look at me directly in the eye.
But like, isn't it supposed to be like sort of a date?
Yeah, it is.
So like, how much money do you make?
That is very chocolatey. I thought it was all the hype and stuff. Sorry, I didn't wanna.
Boy.
Tough subject. Yeah. I thought all the.
I don't know what this is. Hype House. This sounds like younger person influencer stuff in LA? Question mark?
Viral, whatever.
Oh. Is this something that Addison Rae was a part of? I don't know Addison Rae from social media. I know her mostly from her music career now. That shows you how unplugged I am from social media.
Sorry.
I'm what they call house poor.
Okay.
Do you want the house poor? Listen, you're from Long Island.
Yes.
And musical? What I
But you are probably the biggest movie star that we've had on Good Hang. You are my Tom Cruise. You are.
Oh, fantastic. Wow, thank you so much.
You're like a huge part of our family's experience in movies. I have 2 teenage boys. They're huge fans of your work, and as am I. And I think the way you approach your work and the way you approach who you work with and how you work is really very, very special.
Thank you.
And then compliments done.
Done.
Yeah.
What the fuck is Hype House? It sounds like something that was in LA. I'm not sure though. I'm clearly not an expert on this.
Now criticism.
Yes. So you grew up in
You're
Southwest London.
5'6". You're short as fuck. Thank Thank you, Amy.
I don't know. Well, you know my biggest red flag? It's not profound at all, but like
It's all right.
when I hang out with someone and
Daddy
they're like,
gang.
Daddy gang, Glock Glock 3000. No. Whenever I meet someone and they're like, yeah, like a few of my friends, they just ghosted me. I don't know what happened. I'm like, calls coming from inside the house. Like
Wow.
that's really.
Well, yeah, a few. It's like one. Maybe.
I think maybe once or twice, but like when people that's a repeated occurrence.
Sure.
I'm like, interesting, interesting.
She's got a point. And
These are, just as I was about to say, these are some more modern pop culture references that I'm not aware of. What I know was a big ass house that a bunch of cringe YouTubers lived in together and made YouTube videos. Think of David Dobrik. Oh, okay. Interesting.
like the best.
That one. I like Nick the best.
You like Nick the best?
Uh-huh.
How come?
Because he's cute.
Yeah.
Ellen constantly asking these questions like, who do you have a crush on? That's weird. Stop. I mean, it also was like a very common thing to be doing at the time, but that doesn't make it okay. Like, there have been concerning things about Ellen for a very long time.
Working all day, rehearsing, figuring out what we're gonna do, and they have given me no food. And if you see the way I eat, I like junk food, and all they gave me was an apple. Yeah, no, the other one is so that's what I'm eating. It's an apple. And it doesn't taste good.
So I'm just chilling, hanging out, surfing YouTube, relaxing. About to go to rehearsal, at 1 o'clock. So rehearsing for the concert and just chilling. See you guys later. Peace.
I'm like, you know what?
What? Does Ellen still do shows? I don't know. To be honest. I really don't know. Why is it echoey? I know the audio is out of control.
It's a part of my history. The video is iconic.
I hate saying this because then everyone on Twitter is like, you're lying, I hate you. I was supposed to be in the video.
Really? Who are you gonna be? It's like really, every time I see one of those like pop culture moments that like change my life videos on TikTok, I'm always in it. And I'm like, you know what? That's cool. Yeah, and it's always that. Or it's Who's Your Friend.
What's that one?
You haven't seen it?
No, what is that?
I see all your tweets. You always say that you're gonna like meet me up. What did I do to you? You did something to my friend. Who's your friend?
It might change your
I was
life.
supposed to be in the video.
You'll love Who's Your Friend. It's me confronting a hater when I'm like 16.
And what are you saying?
Who's your friend? Because she...
Oh, because the friend is talking shit?
She said, you didn't do something to...
What? I'm lost. Also, it sounds like there's Stardew Valley music happening.
You did something to my friend, and I said...
I think my partner's also playing Stardew Valley, so I'm confused. I was like, oh. But it's actually in the video. Oh, hello. Speaking of. You had such a big crush on Ashley Tisdale. I mean, that makes sense. I can see why. This is Stardew Valley music. I have not seen this show, but I have seen it like recommended to me before. Mostly the wall being full of like predominantly blonde women, I think has been somewhat off-putting to me, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know about, is this Madison Beer? What her rise to fame was. Usually people who are able to get famous pretty young in pop culture especially come from like a certain class as well. Like, you know, the Taylor Swifts, Sabrina Carpenters, Dua Lipa's. Is that Dua Lipa? I'm not sure. Certainly This Is a Nepo Baby, Hailey Bieber or whatever.
Friend. You've never seen this video? It's like all of us in Converse. I'm wearing like a Balenciaga city bag.
you knowing the bad you were in?
Oh no, it's everything.
Wait.
There's no bad things to say about Moses, truly. I really do think you're perfect. Sometimes the tone, not with me, but just in general.
Well, first of all,
the delivery.
bleach and tone.
Tone? Question mark. And I was like, a bleach and tone, like a bleach and tone, like a bleach and tone, like what do you mean tone?
But whenever I heard that word, it's
all the new social media pop star chicks blend together today. They have a thing for blondes. No, it's true. It also is like white supremacy in my mind of like, if you are blonde, especially if you have blue eyes, you will get a certain kind of attention in the world. As like a quick anecdote, I hear her name so often. Who the fuck is Addison Rae? She's she started out as like a social media influencer, like primarily on TikTok. Her music's pretty good, I have to say. It doesn't mean that like she has primarily written her music, but this is her. Oh, I didn't know that she's been in some movies, I guess. I did see that she was in a show. She was in some sort of horror show, like outside of these movies. Also, the fact that there is a horror movie called Thanksgiving and it's not about genocide, I think is completely missing the point of why Thanksgiving should be a horror movie. You know what I mean? Anyway. Charlie D'Amelio. Yeah, they're like all the same. They're very similar. She's the mirrored dimension version of Reyes. I mean, yeah, I think so. Hello, Brickgriff. Welcome. Also, for those present, go follow, subscribe to Brickgriff. They are streaming and doing a wonderful job. It all feels copy-paste. Yeah, and that's how you also know that it's so corporatized, and it's also white supremacy, where it's like all of the blondes. Like, I'm tired of seeing so many blondes as we're stopped on a frame of Trisha Paytas. This also directly has to do with like The Bluest Eye that we were reading for Banned Book Club, of these white supremacy beauty standards, especially when it comes to whiteness, having blue eyes, that colorism exists in the world systemically. There was one time I was with a friend. This is a quick anecdote. We were going out to a drag show. We dressed up. We got all fancy. I was wearing like a corset because also for like masochistic reasons. I like that shit. Not conforming to like certain types of like wanting to have a body type, a certain type of body type, I mean. This friend, blonde hair, blue eyes, was dressed in like all white and like a feather like coat that, you know, was very cool. We went to a bar because we were going to get a drink before and then also get something to eat. And the people looked at her, like the manager, and were like, oh, they like let her go in front of the line. And they were like, oh, you're part of the bridal party? And she was like, what? And she didn't hear what they said and was just like, and said, yeah, or something. I don't know. But they just assumed that she was part of this like very fancy wedding party that was happening without her even saying anything. This is something that would never happen to me on my own. I was more femme presenting too at this time. And so we got ushered into this like bridal party, but since she was wearing all white, everyone was pissed. Like, she's a very beautiful person, and people were like, you have to go. You have to go right now. And I was saying to people, I was like, we don't know why we're here. We got ushered in here. This is not something that would happen to me. But then all of them were white and they were eating Indian food. And so I'm like, well, at least I'm going to eat Indian food while I'm here. So I was like going to get food at this, like crashing this reception or whatever. But like she was busy talking to people. But then there were like some of the maid of honor came over and was like, you have to go. You can't be wearing that, because she was wearing all white. And I'm like, I hate this. This is a situation that would never happen to me on my own. And the way that like people just assume that you're part of a particular class, and I don't know, that happened like all night long as well. And I'm like, I don't know if we can be friends. I was like, this is really like, she's nice and like we would get along and stuff, but I was like, seeing the treatment, like the difference in treatment really is like so jarring. I don't know if I can deal with so anyway, that's that story. Been sharing the PDF. Your community getting ready. Britt Griff is one of the aspirants of the American branch. Ooh. Oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Okay. Anyway, that's an example of the difference in treatment. And I'm like, yeah, this is what happens with only this is in terms of like pop culture and musicians, these pop icons, people who are elevated to particular situations of notoriety and fame. Most of the time, it's because they are conforming to a certain standard that the capitalists and ruling class, these fascist white supremacists that are like, no, we want you to be the face of what it means to be beautiful or to be artistic. It doesn't mean that there aren't people who can't obviously be beautiful or artistic, but they are often elevated over people who have even more talent, perhaps, that are not white or rich. Anyway.
Okay.
How would you describe Mika?
He would describe me.
Oh yeah, you can take it away. I was actually asking.
I have 2 words. Yeah.
A lot of farts.
No, that's pretty funny though. Be like, ah, some bitch.
I don't know who these people are.
Oh my god.
I just don't want to be shady because here's the gag. How do I say this nicely?
So
anyway.
She's the best person he knows. The best person he's ever met, and I'm some bitch.
Dap me up.
What?
Oh, I had almost gagged just here.
Nice. So anyway, what you got?
Nene Leakes in Real Housewives of Atlanta. Another person who I think is not given enough credit in forming pop culture as we know it today.
I think that was his answer.
Some bitch.
Oh my god.
I don't even know what's happening in that situation. And I don't really care.
It's like fucking, what do they call these stupid ass cars where they drive you around by yourself? I'm stuck in this motherfucking Waymo, girl. Can you please come and get me?
But you stuck in the Waymo.
Like, I'm literally so fucking scared right now.
Like, bitch, let me out.
No, it's not gonna let me out. I have to let me out. Let me out, Waymo. Waymo, let me out. Let me out, Waymo.
I love this jacket.
Oh my gosh, it's moving, it's moving, it's going in reverse. Stop!
Currently watching Keke Palmer do an acting exercise. Tiana Taylor is extremely concerned about what's happening too.
And nearby. You laughing?
Get on this goddamn phone.
It's not funny, Tiana.
It was the far away.
Oh, she's laughing.
Hold on.
Obviously, I can do sleight of hand, so I needed to create something for you.
You remember you had to unfollow Keke? Yeah, what was your reasoning? I think for me, a lot of it, I don't know, just a lot of the complicity or like not speaking out about certain things going on in the world. This is where I tend to just like let people fall by the wayside.
Where I do sleight of mouth. Okay? Okay. Just go with it, okay?
Okay, I'll go with it.
I don't know what this is either.
Yeah, I'm pretty good with my hands.
She was like, what do we do about this country? And don't say communism or unions. Oh, no. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe. Kiki Palmer, who is this? This is her. I mean, she's very talented, has been in so many things. Yeah, Aquila and the Bee. That was the first thing I saw her in. But yeah, I saw, like, there have been moments like that over time with her career. I think especially when it comes to even, like, taking certain brand deals, that's like, what is happening here? Or, like, there was one thing that she said that was like, I just realized that I can't really change the world, so I might as well, like, have fun, or something like that, or just, like, be me. And I'm like, you have a huge platform. Like, you have a lot of people who are, like, paying attention to what you're doing. Like, you have more influence. You maybe don't have power, but you have more influence than what you think. Recently with Boots Riley's I Love Boosters. Really? Boots is also on that. I'm a leftist for the cool factor. I know. I get that as well. It's like where he talks about very leftist things in his art, where he tries to, like, I think, have that speak for itself, but also he is very interested in not being outspoken about, like, what maybe he maybe has, like, in his mind more convictions personally about, like, techniques for organizing and stuff, or like what can change the world, where, like, in I Love Boosters, I'm talking about, like, dialectical materialism. Oh boy. But also, like, or even, like, in the show, like, I'm a Virgo, talking about communism and capitalism very clearly, but him not doing it in interviews, and it just being this, like, constant issue with artists, which is why we talk about it with Shakespeare, of, like, people who are artists feeling like they have to bend the knee to all of these powers in order to make art, which, like, in some ways they do, but also, like, why not, like, crowdsource something? I don't know. Like, there are plenty of people that want to see really good art done in a way that is honest and in your face, that isn't just subservient to all of these powers. Yeah, there are many of these moments that I don't recognize. As a Virgo, I've been scared to watch. You're a Virgo? I feel like I'll be validated and then deeply offended. I mean, maybe so. Oh, that's funny. I'm a Scorpio. Anyway. I would be interested if you end up watching it, I'd be interested to hear what you think about it.
Bite down.
What is this?
You're doing great, sweetie.
Stuart Little is my son, Capricorn.
I'm sorry.
One of the most practical signs out there, but also getting shit done. Some earth signs in the chat. Normally, because I think Aliana Bunso, you are a Gemini. And Linton is also a Gemini, from what I remember. Third Bomb, I think you're a Leo. Yeah, you are a Leo. So we have a mix. We have a mix.
In your eyes.
Stop. Wait, there was smoke in your mouth, right?
Yeah, because you're so hot.
I got
I got all flustered. I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, I'm distracting?
Yes.
Interesting.
Is not, like. Oh.
Are you okay? You're a hard audience. I'm not gonna lie.
You think I'm a hard audience? Look at me. Anything you do, I'm gonna be like drooling.
What? Also, that is so intentional. All of that. That is so intentional. Queer. Yep.
And yeah, love you guys, and thank you so much again for your support. And shout out to my Twitter followers. What's up? You guys are awesome, and thank you for following me. Yeah.
Oh, this is like YouTube poop, but for... I mean, essentially. Because I was like, oh, this is pop culture moments from the pits of hell. The title is very appealing to me. But yeah, it is very YouTube-centric and social media-centric, where I'm like, there are many moments that I do not even understand. And so, like, my millennial is showing.
Okay,
Celebrities almost cringe
Don't forget to
themselves to
smile.
death. Exactly. Don't forget to
Choose
smile.
your fate.
This is making me feel old. YouTube poop is great, Paul. Yeah. Those were... I feel kind of underwhelmed. There are funnier moments in pop culture, I have to say. Okay. So, transing, because same, we're going to be talking about current witch hunts that are happening in the world. I mean, especially in the US, where, there is all of this fear-mongering about leftist politics, saying like, oh, communism and all this bullshit, which, as I've said before, this usually happens when fascists, the ruling class, are losing their power and they are becoming ever more violent and fear-mongering. Because they do not have the hearts and minds of people, they cannot be reliant on human beings. They have to rely on propaganda and fear tactics, manipulation. So I saw this video came out from Prince Shakur called Reacting to Marco Rubio's Ministerial on Left-Wing Violence that I wanted to watch. I thought this looked interesting. Also, Britt Griff, I haven't been able to join your stream for a bit, but I have your notifications turned on. How has streaming been for you?
Why is the US government hosting a minstrel show? Why a minstrel show? Why?
Well,
like, can you explain it to me? Minstrel show. The US government on July 16th hosted a minstrel show. Actually, no, I'm kidding. It's a ministerial on far left terrorism. Terrorism in giant ass quotation marks. We're talking about it today. Reaction video.
The thing is, that wouldn't be that surprising, though. You know?
This episode of Repression Watch. Let's get into it.
Is a fatal cancer to civilization.
This fucker
and the
makes me
greatest
sick.
risk that we have is that our institutions have grown too soft and too cowardly to be
Seeing
able
him,
to
like,
defend themselves
makes my
against a
skin
mortal
crawl.
threat. If your civilization is your home, you must defend it with the same passion and force as if an enemy intruder is inside your own house where your family lives. That is the level of dedication and urgency that is required.
Fascism 101. Yep.
Recently, the U.S. Department of State has done a ministerial on the resurgence of political terrorism.
And this was helmed notably by Secretary of State Marco
Basically
Rubio.
saying
This
kill
was hosted in
leftists with that,
DC
treat them
that
like
brought together
home invaders
representatives
thing.
from
Yeah, exactly. Or they're saying like the homegrown people. Yeah, it's to incite violence. Exactly.
60 countries. Why would they name it a ministerial? Minstrel show? Ministerial? Minstrel? It's kind of confusing. This was basically a meeting to coordinate what the Trump administration described as a global response to violent far-left terrorism. The conference focused on
Yeah, because that's happening so often, as opposed to far-right terrorism, which is, you know, the leading cause of violence and political violence. You know, if we deported all of the white supremacists, we would have virtually no political violence.
Expanding intelligence sharing, law enforcement cooperation, sanctions, and other tools that the state wants to use. And I've never done a repression watch video like this where I've reacted directly to state propaganda, state meetings, and other things like this. But I think it's important to not only understand it language-wise and also history-wise in terms of recent histories in the US. Since Trump's second term in office in January 2025, his administration has broadened focus on left-wing movements as a matter of national security, famously NSPM 17 or 7 designating anti-fascism
I wonder
as a
what
terrorist.
makes a person lean into their worst impulses like Stephen Miller. I know, exactly. Of like, yeah, what happened to you? And then also realizing like maybe he was just told no once. That's like, ugh, that's bleak. Or he got turned down by a woman with melanated skin. That he's like, oh, now I have to take it out on the whole world. Yeah, it's like, what happened to you? It just seems like such a horrible way to exist. And it would almost be sad if it wasn't so evil, you know? Of like, you sound, look, seem like you're just rotting from the inside out. Of like, he has such dead eyes. And like, nothing's happening in there. It's just hatred. To never want to become a better person later, that level of bitterness doesn't seem healthy. I know. It's like, it really is mind-boggling. Of like, so it's not enough that the world is built for you. It's not enough that like you're able to benefit from most things with how the world exists as it is. But it's like, oh, I'm just offended that other people exist. That's like, how much of a like fragile person do you have to be? Of like these people who want to claim like, oh, it's like strongman behavior. I'm like, I think we need to stop using that term. I think that's like weak person behavior to like not be able to own who you are and be able to exist in a world where there are other kinds of people, diversity of opinion as well, where it's like it takes a strong person to be able to like have a conversation with another human being and like try to find similarity or common ground, or like even be able to like disagree in ways, but yeah, instead of just being like, we have to erase people. But like, sadly, he is like a product of all of these bullshit systems of wanting to hold on to power. And it wouldn't even be surprising. It does seem like he believes these things, like he is very intent on the ideology of it all, if we want to call it that. But I think there are many people that don't even necessarily believe this shit. They're just like, oh, this is what I have to say to get people to, like what you were saying, like access their worst impulses and inclinations in order to get into the halls of power. Because like, who are they calling on the weekends? Who are they engaging in like intimate activities with? Usually the people they are claiming to hate so much. So like, what does that all mean? that they just are wanting to have the world bend to their own will. And it's such a like colonizer tactic. It's such colonizer behavior.
In spring 2025, the federal government did crackdowns on pro-Palestinian campus protests, and the administration.
Also, the fact that like Trump like saying like he's attracted to his daughter, that is concerning, but sadly not out of the ordinary when it comes to the ruling class historically, of all of the inbreeding and abuse that goes on and has gone on, like as we are reading about King James and such, that like, yeah, it's just par for the course. It's not like Trump is alone in this. It should be concerning every time we hear about this, but it is just this pattern of like having like pure quote unquote bloodlines, which really is just maintaining power and class.
Also pressured universities. And then throughout over the last year, senior officials have repeatedly characterized anti-fascist activists, anarchists, and other militant groups as growing security threats, whether this be the Prairie Land defendants out of Texas who recently had their sentencings, which I've covered on my channel, whether it be folks out of Atlanta connected to the Stop Cop City movement being targeted, whether it be ICE activists and protesters being targeted in various parts around the country, especially recently in Minnesota. And there's
this is a continuation of colonization, of ethnic cleansing of Turtle Island, that we have to be looking at it like that. Like LeBron or the Bible guy. That's a good distinction. The Bible guy, but good question. Yeah, because we're reading Macbeth, and Shakespeare wrote it to appeal to King James, and so we are talking about his history, and also him even embarking on the Bible, like that whole project of having a translation of the Bible that he controls. He also wrote a book on demonology, so he wanted to define enemies for people, have it be this white Christian imperialism colonization to justify the ethnic cleansing of Scotland and Ireland. So like how similar all of these tactics are. It's just a continuation of this bullshit. Kind of like Machiavelli's The Prince. Yeah, exactly.
Going to be an interview on my podcast called the Dugout of Black Anarchist Podcast, where you can check out an interview with two of those defendants. And we're going to be doing more coverage of that soon. So check out those spaces to learn more. I am definitely someone where
I do enjoy their podcast.
Like when the state tries to deploy strategies around philosophy or language, I sometimes listen in strictly because I want to understand what kind of words they're using, the philosophical terms they're using, the kind of debate structures. And it's not like I'm a debate bro. It's not like I understand everything in the world, but I think being a writer, being someone that was deeply fascinated by law and also fascinated by debate when I was in high school, I'm genuinely just interested in how people posit arguments and what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. It's kind of why I feel like during the last election season, I was posting a lot. So I'm interested in what this ministerial, that's the word, ministerial. I still don't like that. It feels weird. I'm interested in what this ministerial on the resurgence of political terrorism is going to say. Let's get into it and let's see how angry I get, because I feel like it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad.
Consumed in flames. Meanwhile, the cryon on the bottom read that the protests were mostly peaceful. This was something worse than a double standard.
Yeah, and we see how all of these people who have proximity to whiteness wanting to use that, like Marco Rubio. Oh, you think you would be on the side for people who are being targeted right now? But no, because he is white passing, he is interested in his own political agenda, that like he also is dead inside. There's no life happening there. And how he is just bent on punishing South America and just the Americas in general because of all of his internalized racism. King James omitted verses from the Bible. Yep, exactly. Because he saw it as threatening to his authority. Honestly, learning about the King James Bible, because like I went to BYU, that place, that Mormon college, that I got a very incomplete education. So part of embarking on whatever this is a way for me to also educate myself on things that I did not get educated on, with like critical theory, literary theory, which was supposedly my emphasis, but it was a very, like white supremacist, colonized version of it because it was told through the lens of Mormonism. That was something that like made it so I started breaking down Mormonism even. We have an ad starting in about 12 seconds as a heads up. Is learning that King James and his version of the Bible, of even like not really being that aware growing up that there were all of these different versions of the Bible. That's how sheltered it was. And that like he had a political agenda, and that it was like, oh, so can we actually trust what's going on? And then like having that relate to Shakespeare, that was very that was pretty radicalizing. I mean, not significant enough at the time for me to be like, I'm leaving, but to be like, oh, I'm starting to question some of these sources that we are taught to be like, this is the best version. We should wonder why. There was a very carefully written manual on what not to do, but like the real prince wouldn't have liked sound advice. So the story, the prince had to kind of skirt around anything too honest while still getting the point across to those willing to read between the lines. Yeah. So now everyone thinks Machiavellianism is about sociopathy. Yeah. I think that's a really great way of putting it. I learned recently that King James also wrote a book about demonology. Yep, he sure did. Is that how we found out most demons were just old Egyptian and Greek gods? I mean, I have not read his book on demonology, but he gives like a lot of specifics as to like, this is how people do stuff, thinking that like old castles is where like there are all these hauntings and stuff. So what we kind of know in modern day horror, in art and film, especially in like the Western colonized world, comes a lot from his writing on demonology and like who should be demonized, quite literally. And he wrote it intentionally to demonize the indigenous people of Scotland and Ireland so that it is useful justification for colonization. Well, I have a joke about that. It's a bit I mean, I'm open to it. I feel like you're aware enough. I trust you. I guess we'll see. Basically goes like this. Europeans didn't only build on top of ancient Native American burial grounds. They also built on top of ancient Native European burial grounds. Yep. Yeah, exactly. The Neanderthals. Yeah, it all is about like who is considered to be in the in crowd of like whiteness and supremacy, the colonizer using these things that are deeply political, like race, that is being created to justify political agendas rather than it being like this inherent thing where that is still used as a tactic to make people believe that like there are all of these hierarchies of human dignity. But like, yeah, it all is like, okay, like Toni Morrison, like as we're gonna get into Toni Morrison's writing, like in a previous interview we watched of hers for Banned Book Club, she mentioned like, why am I getting all of these questions about race by interviewers? Because like many Black women authors were not being elevated at that time, especially to the level that she was, or noticed or published, and that she constantly was getting these questions. It was extremely racist. And she was like, why aren't people asking white authors about like James Joyce writing about race, of him being Irish and the Irish being racialized and not considered white? And then it's like, And now Irish people are considered white, but they're still considered like less than certain other white groups. That's like, it's all made up. It's just all made up because it's meant to justify these political agendas. Machiavelli suggested cruelty he used sparingly and seldom because the people would react negatively if a prince was too cruel. Yeah, it's often like a very misunderstood text that has been used to justify people to just do whatever they want in a cruel manner to justify like the cruel ends as well.
The clapping. Yeah, we're starting off at the very beginning.
Its team and cabinet that are here today, our FBI Director Kash Patel, who's here with us. Thank you. Our Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon.
And many people wonder when they see like someone like Marco Rubio of like, oh, like, doesn't he have Cuban ancestry? Kash Patel, like, he's Desi, he's Indian, like a brown man. Why wouldn't they be against this fascism? When people say this, I just see caste. Because Kash Patel comes from a Brahmin caste where Hindu nationalism, Hindutva, is extremely fascist in nature, and how like Marco Rubio can be considered the same of like this internalized racism, the internalization of these oppressive structures to make themselves feel better and access his proximity to whiteness and being white passing instead of actually wanting to be for a collective, be for, I don't know, advocating for people's humanity. Rubio's family fled Batista. We need them to forget about that, and your skin provides too much contrast to ever truly forget.
Well, you'll hear shortly from Stephen Miller. So let me start by saying that the most essential duty of the state, the first responsibility.
Okay, the first responsibility, let's guess, is to help people, is to stop climate change, is to offer free healthcare, to maybe educate the masses so we have more conscious future generations, to end decolonization, to stop.
To end end colonization. I also love the shrinking of the frame. I just learned about that. Rubio and Ted Cruz talked smack about Castro and they fled the US-backed regime. Yep, exactly. Where it doesn't make sense, but they just want to be able to like tell a certain type of story, and both of them have proximity to whiteness and being white passing what is considered white in this moment in time. But it's like, that doesn't mean that like he is still not tokenized, or Kash Patel or Ted Cruz, that they are not tokenized as well, and that like tokens get spent, and that like in this system of white supremacy, especially as we are getting into these late stages of the fascists eating themselves, of people like some of these people, especially people of color, are going to be falling by the wayside very willingly, being thrown under the bus to take blame for things. And like, this is what it means of like not ever truly being accepted, but just being used. And why it's like, if you are internalizing these systems of oppression and wanting to step on the necks of other people to feel like you are superior, that doesn't mean that you will not be stepped on as well, and that you aren't being stepped on in the moment, you know?
Stripping the land of its resources to ensure that children grow up and feel safe in their communities without having to be gunned down by the fucking pigs. Let's see what he said. First response.
Described as traditional terrorist threats. For 25 years, the term counterterrorism, at least in the West, has meant first and foremost the fight against radical Islamist extremism. And there's a very poignant reason for that. On the 11th of...
Yeah, anytime they say Islamist, the Islamists of like all of these misnomers as well, instead of saying like Islam or people who are Muslim, that it's like it's intentional to keep fueling the fire of Islamophobia, to also justify their idiotic wars that are illegal, by the way. And even though Pete Hegseth was being he had this hearing in Congress and was being asked somewhat of hard questions, it doesn't mean that they aren't stopping the war, or that there aren't these mechanisms to actually be stopping them, or that there is an unwillingness to stop them because of how imbalanced these power structures are. That, like, we see the reluctance of so-called leaders who are in Congress who are not willing to actually stop what is going on, even though it is conceding their power to the executive branch. It's like, even in the face of wanting more power, they are still like part of the problem, but they have internalized all of this bullshit and have their own hopes of wanting to enrich themselves by being completely corrupted by the industrial war complex and the super PACs and all of these corporations that are funding them, because that's what they care about. And they don't have a backbone. It would take some sort of backbone to be like, I don't like what's going on, even though it's to protect their own interests. But this is the cannibalistic nature of fascism, of capitalism, of colonization, of like people vying for power, and then they get more and more paranoid of like Trump constantly being worried about being assassinated, or like Elon Musk, like they're constantly worried about living forever. And it's like, maybe if you weren't such an evil person that was just like hoarding all of this wealth and power, that like you wouldn't need to be so afraid. But they aren't willing to give up any of that, so like that's the result.
September, in the year of 2001.
I remember when I watched this the first time, this blew me away immediately. It's conflating protection of human lives with the protection of a state or a government entity, which are two very, 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 very different things. I mean, I remember for my podcast, we did a Should Black People Vote episode. But we did a Should Black People Vote episode, and we went back to the origins of voting in the US, why the founding fathers in the US on Turtle Island established voting as they did, and some of the underpinnings of why they established the representative democracy is because they believed there are only certain individuals in a populace who have the skills and knowledge to accurately meet and govern.
Yeah.
And they believed that the masses did not have those skills, and so therefore they shouldn't vote directly. It should be a representative democracy.
And it's to dilute our power, to give people the illusion of choice and having power of like, oh, you're choosing a leader, but that diminishes our own individual consent in what is going on in society. By having it be transferred to a representative who makes choices for us.
Of course, this was also explicitly excluding women and enslaved Africans. And so the protection of the people from the founding of the United States of America, what people, and then to complete people with country. So protecting people is as important as protecting a country, even though a country can do things that directly hurt its own citizens and other citizens. So not only is Marco Rubio immediately arguing like this nationalist separatism that is like literally a part of colonial and the imperial pursuit, but then also conflating the protection of a people with the protection of its country. Like when I was listening to this first time, I literally couldn't stop thinking about our umbilical cord attached to Israel and how the protection of Zionists is also protection of the Israeli state, which demands a military and police force. And then to jump to like, this is why people have militaries, this is why people have police forces. There are governments in the world that don't have armies. Demand that we need a military to protect our people and our.
From what I understand, First Nations politics empowered spokespersons, representatives, would only be able to convey a platform that the constituency declared for themselves. Yes. This is a great call out. They're more like executors than leaders, the way the Western mind thinks of it. Yep. Of like having a much more democratic process of not acting until there is an understanding from the people. And like that's why it's so important to even, or not even, but especially to decolonize what we think of as democracy as so-called civilization, that word that has constantly been redefined and justified for ethnic cleansing, genocidal projects that are deeply political, where it's like, democracy, so-called democracy, did not start with the Greeks, and guess what? There was slavery there. So, like, is that a democracy? We also have institutionalized slavery in the US when it comes to the prison industrial complex. So, and like rampant human trafficking. Is that an indicator that we are in a so-called democracy or free society? Islamist extremism, but ignoring Christian or occult extremism from the order. Yep. Yep, exactly. And from all of these other groups as well, where it's like white supremacists, conservative, white Christian nationalists are the primary group of violent crime in the US. And there is a reason why this administration is, and it's not exclusive to the US though, but there is a reason why this administration is somehow erasing, disappearing all of these reports about violent crime and political extremism. It's because it doesn't fit their narrative, and that this is just a continued justification of the ethnic cleansing and genocide of Turtle Island. White man shoots at black family event, then gets let off with assault charges, but no, Islamist extremism down the memory hole. Yeah, or like so many examples of violence that are just never held to account, or like let alone the state sanctioned violence of like, how about we address reparations? How about we address giving land back so that we can really understand what violence is when it is systemic and justified through so-called legal means, which is why, like, especially for those of us with anarchist leanings, we call into question like the ability to even reform the system that is inherently anti-human, and why we need to constantly be calling out the tactics that are happening now as a continuation as a continuation of like what has been happening, that the system is functioning as it was meant to function.
Country, but not to name the transgressions of the military, Guantanamo Bay, military black sites, rape and assault in the military, don't ask, don't tell, the countless civilians and people that our US military has killed abroad, and or the countless militaristic interventions into other democratic processes. Right-wingers will constantly assert the necessity of their version of democracy without speaking any
I'm going to
truth
step out for
to the
just a sec,
evils,
but I'll keep
ills,
this
and
playing.
wrongs of
I'll
the
be right back.
systems that they're claiming to protect and the systems that they're claiming are being attacked. Like, if an institution violates countless people's human rights and people protest that, is that a not justifiable response for human beings to have? Let's keep going. I'm only a minute in. It's like
The first responsibility, frankly, of any government of any kind is the protection of its people. It's the protection of its country. This is a sacred obligation that should transcend all political and all ideological divisions. It is why, for example, we have militaries. It's why we have intelligence agencies. It's why counterterrorism bureaus exist, why police forces exist. Keeping our people safe is the reason why every country represented here has all of these things. For 25 years, the term
I have a theory. This is not to be a dig on people with speech impediments, or what is even viewed as an impediment. You know, I have a theory that if you say your S's in a way that is like somewhat diverting from what is considered like normal in this world, in Western society, that you have a greater chance of political success. I do not have evidence to back this up. But so many politicians, I feel like, say their S's in ways that I'm like, what is this about? I mean, it also, the reason they're able to be there to begin with is because they're born into a certain class most of the time, have proximity to whiteness or proximity to being cishet and able-bodied, what is viewed as able-bodied, maleness, all of these things. We do have an ad starting in about 45 seconds as a heads up. You find yourself in a part of the city no one expects you to be among the proles. You take it home and set it down in the small corner of your room away from prying eyes. Where you scribble down, yep, down with Big Brother. This is 1984. Yeah. Marco Rubio pauses speech for water break.
On policy, America continues to be indispensable to the goal of global liberty, property, and safeguarding human rights. The world is a better place when America is the strongest nation on earth. But we can't remain powerful if we don't have an economy that can afford it. In the short time that I've been here in Washington, nothing has frustrated me more than false choices like the one the president laid out tonight. The choice isn't just between big government or big business. What we need is an accountable, efficient, and effective government that allows small and new businesses to create more middle-class jobs.
I love that small little clip is on this official ABC News account. It's not a big deal to be thirsty and need a drink of water, but that was the most awkward sip of water I've ever seen. The fact that he was able to even have a continued political career goes to show how there are all of these power imbalances of like money in politics, his proximity to whiteness, being a dude, like all of these things. The fact that it was a mini water bottle made it 2 times. Oh, and what you were saying, Britt Griff, what do you mean, our people? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Who are we defining as the in crowd? Welcome back.
At least in the West, has meant first and foremost the fight against radical Islamist extremism. And there's a very poignant reason for that. On the 11th of September.
Oh, so we're dropping in 9/11. We're dropping in 9/11. We're dropping in 9/11. Side note, I remember in high school, it was like 2009, 10 for me. I had an English teacher who was super Christian, and I went to a public high school in Cleveland. One day, she showed us a video about the rise of Islam in the US and how Islam would eventually overtake Christianity. And there was a girl who was Muslim right next to me. And I was not that politically developed then, but I remember after she did this talk, I raised my hand and I was like, excuse me, teacher, you showing this, doesn't it kind of denigrate Islam? Doesn't it kind of say that Islam is a threat to us? Doesn't it kind of say that Islam is bad? The girl next to me never came back to that class.
In the year of 2001, 19 men murdered.
Yeah, and can you blame her? Sadly, you know, that is not an uncommon thing to be happening in schools, especially with teachers just like imposing all of their political opinions and agendas, not to mention the powers that be of the government dictating what can and can't be said in a classroom, of like trying to control the narrative of their own version, this colonized version of history, rather than talking about real history. And of course, there were probably no consequences for that teacher. But can you imagine if it was the other way around? It was a teacher who was Muslim who was saying that about Christianity. That teacher would not have a job and wouldn't be able to work again. Work with conservatives to monitor fascists, by the way. Yeah, I think that is a good point, Boonso, of saying that, like, you know, we do have a lot more in common than what people may realize in how, especially when it comes to like class politics, of most people being upset with the system, of many people, especially these days, being anti-establishment and seeing the ills of both parties and how like both parties have claimed to want to have some sort of change and then nothing getting better for people in the working class, and that they have to, the powers that be, but especially the fascists in power, have to constantly make all of these appeals to whiteness and appeals to discrimination and people's worst inclinations in order to maintain power, because like they don't have the political power, they just don't have the hearts and minds of people, they don't have policy, they don't have like any sort of plan besides to pit people against one another, which is just like classic capitalist behavior of saying like, no, you all should be fighting amongst each other rather than looking at what we're doing and who is actually funding what we are doing, who is benefiting from all of the bullshit that's going on.
3,000 people here in my country. Then that same enemy struck Europe, murdering nearly 200 commuters aboard trains in Madrid in 2004, and 52 more aboard London buses and the underground in the following year. The entire architecture of Western counterterrorism was
I often cite the Nazis were choosing between Jim Crow US and apartheid South Africa as their model for racial strife, and they chose the US. Neo-Nazis are just neo-paleo conservatives. Yep, exactly. It's not an accident as well that Hitler constantly revered the US and looked to the US as a model for genocide and the oppression and the murder of indigenous people and erasure of culture, that it was aspirational. I don't know what a neo-paleo conservative is. I made it up. I mean, I think it's a great term for people to be like, oh, this is new and we're conservative, but actually it's very old. This has been done. This is a continuation.
From the studs around the singular traumatic event. That made sense at the time.
Paleo? I'm
our
guessing
job
in
was
this
to keep our people
of it
safe,
being
and
like
the realm of terrorism, the specter of global jihad, was
earlier
the premier
humanity.
threat to their safety. And so we went to work, and we assembled a global coalition.
Paleoconservatism. Paleoconservatism is a strain of conservatism in the United States that stresses American nationalism, Christian ethics, traditionalist conservatism, localism, and non-interventionism. Paleoconservatism's concerns overlap with those of the old right, which opposed the New Deal in the 1930s and 1940s, as well as with paleo-libertarianism. Paleoconservatives press for restrictions on immigration, a rollback of multicultural programs, and large-scale demographic change, the decentralization of federal policy, the restoration of controls upon free trade, a greater emphasis upon economic nationalism, and non-intervention in the politics of foreign nations. The prefix paleo derives from the Greek root paleos, meaning ancient or old, in reference to the paleoconservatives' claim to represent a more historic, authentic conservative tradition. Yeah, ancient or old, found in neoconservatism. Adherents of paleoconservatism often describe themselves simply as paleo. not just the paleo diet. Rich Lowry of National Review claims the prefix is designed to obscure the fact that it is a recent ideological creation of post-Cold War politics. Yeah. And also how, like, we, in my mind, can't separate this from colonial projects and colonization, and that these things are not that old, you know, of these white Western nations, especially wanting to exert all of this non-consensual dominance and have resource extraction and the eradication of people and culture to justify their empires. Gotta know the man and his many faces. All power to the people. So paleo means religious conservatism. The Nazis were really into the occult and religious stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's the constant desire and need to define who is viewed as moral and who is viewed as immoral, who is viewed as good and evil, because then it justifies whatever they're wanting to do. Ew. They have a word, compassionate. Ugh. The bastardization of language by fascists really is so evil and nefarious. So it came from Paul Gottfried in the 1980s, who opposed the Vietnam War in contrast to neoconservatives who supported the war. Oh, interesting. William F. Buckley Jr.'s intense support for the Vietnam War was the true reason why he ousted non-interventionist conservatives like John Birch Society from National Review, and neoconservatives only retroactively accused these non-interventionists of holding racist and anti-Semitic views that justified their ousting. In the 21st century, the term paleoconservative came to be associated with conservatives who criticize Israel and support the Arab cause in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. However, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, trying to make it look like, oh, there are equal sides in terms of power and global support and funding, as opposed to occupation, colonization, and genocide, ethnic cleansing, was originally tangential to the neoconservative paleoconservative split, and paleoconservatives to this day have varied options on the matter. Some, such as Pat Buchanan, Russell Kirk, and Tucker Carlson, have tended to criticize Israel, whereas others, including Gottfried himself, have expressed pro-Israel stances. I didn't know this aspect of it. This is really good to know. Gottfried in particular views the rise in anti-Zionism following the October 7 attacks as part of a broader movement of anti-white sentiment in Western countries. Oh, cry me a river. Paleoconservatives tend to oppose abortion, gay marriage, and queer rights. Yeah, that makes sense. They differ from neoconservatism in opposing free trade and promoting republicanism. So having representatives and not having as much corporate power, supposedly. Paleoconservatives see neoconservatives as imperialists themselves and defenders of the republic and support anti-imperialism. Interesting. Yeah, I feel like it's getting harder to even find that difference, though, of, like, most of the time people wanting, when they're conservative, just, like, an endless corporate greed, until they start to feel personally some of the disadvantages of being exploited at every turn, and then maybe they're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have billionaires. But I still want to be one. You were an occultist as a fascist. Use the power of my feminine charm to convince a conservative to become an anarchist, albeit a right-wing anarchist. I mean, this is where, like, I said this a little bit ago, but there was one time I went to a bar just to get a drink. Imagine that. And there there was this dude who started talking to me, and I was more femme presenting, which normally when I'm like out and about in public and stuff, I am not quite as femme presenting as I've mentioned before, because like the backlash or the whiplash is very jarring and depressing. But there was one guy that I was like, if I came in being more mask presenting, you would be one of the first for like red flags to go up that like I'm not safe around you. But this person like wanted to talk to me and was like surprised that I was like, yeah, like he was like, "Oh, so what do you like care about or whatever?" Like, well, I like do some like streaming and stuff, and I enjoy like some political commentary. And like recently, especially, that was when there was more news coming out about the data center trying to be built by that like Shark Tank idiot, but really he's just like the face of it all. It's the politicians here that want it. Um, and he was like, he didn't even really know that much about it, which, you know, there are plenty of people that don't. But he seemed very conservative in many ways, and he was willing to just kind of like go along with what I was saying because he was like, oh, okay, like probably just wanting to get in my pants. And I'm like, are people really that gullible? Are people really that dumb sometimes? It's just funny because it's like I'm the same person no matter how I'm presenting. Um, but yeah, people are just like so easy. Like people don't have most of the time much like moral conviction. And that was just a small example of that, of like, so you are going to just agree with whatever I say? Like, you would have a better chance of getting in my pants, actually, if you, like, had an opinion. If you were able to, like, have a discussion about what you thought. I don't know. It just is, I mean, especially, like, depending on what he was thinking, that's really up for debate. But like if you're able to like talk about it with conviction and not have it be at the expense of human beings, then like maybe we can have a conversation. It's just like people are so transparent most of the time. I'm into feminism to the extent it makes women's drawers drop. Yeah, exactly. I'm into feminism as long as like you feel like you get to choose to fuck me. Then we're all about it. It's like, okay. Interesting.
Working with many of the friends that are represented here in this room today, and we destroyed the ISIS caliphate. We killed al-Baghdadi and al-Zahari and bin Laden, and we built intelligence and law enforcement systems capable of anticipating and stopping attacks before the public even hears about them. Every country represented here today has disrupted a terrorist threat at some point emanating from this source. Jihadist attacks and plots in the United States are down by 2/3 since ISIS's peak. The number of people killed by jihadist terrorism in Europe dropped by roughly 97%.
Okay, I'm just kind of blacking out during this section because I just Googled how many governments has the US intervened? And I'm literally in a country right now that the US has intervened in significantly. The slightly less than 100 years from 1998 to 1994, the US government has intervened successfully to change governments in Latin America a total of at least 41 times. That amounts to once every 28 months for an entire country. Direct intervention occurred in 17 of 41 cases. These incidents involved the use of military forces, intelligence agents, or local citizens employed by US government agencies. In another 24 cases, the US government played an indirect role. Saving this list, just, for evidence, for things that we need to have. So we care so much about Iraq, Afghanistan, the terrors, what they're doing to their people over there. But we're intervening in 41 different times throughout 1998 to 1944. We just gotta keep going. We're only 3 minutes. Okay, whatever. We're gonna keep going.
From the year 2015 to the year 2024. In other words, to a very great extent, our counterterrorism strategy has worked. The threat has not disappeared, of course. It will continue to exist, particularly so long as we tolerate immigration systems that imports these threats directly into our respective homelands. But this threat has been severely diminished.
Hey, we really have to slip in this old-ass white supremacists, eugenicists as fuck, where our borders are too open. So our open immigration system is the reason why we've had terrorism for the past 20 years. Not any of the militaristic interventions that we've done, not the fact that back in the day we partially funded Al Qaeda. Immigrants.
Yep.
And this is what's wild to me about
It's
the
always the
global
pointing.
wave of fascism is that, I mean, I really want to do a video tracing kind of the timeline lineages of contemporary fascism, at least from like the 2010s onward, because I hear so much of the world copy pasting American
Once
xenophobia, whether
terrorists
it be
gets mad
to parts
when
of
the terrorists
Africa
attack
or
them. Yep.
Britain or
Controlled
India
opposition.
or
Exactly.
just countless parts of the
Gets
world.
mad.
And
And they're like, this is what we
immigrants
wanted to
are the
begin with.
reason that there's been terrorism for the past like number of years. It's not any of the decades of foreign intervention that the US has done. The enemy from outside and the enemy from within. That is something that fascism is really good at.
Far too long, however, our counterterrorism doctrine has had a blind spot. A blind spot when it comes to extremist violence from the political left. Even today, the very idea that far-left terrorism could be a serious threat is treated as a right-wing fever dream, or worse, as a dangerous fascist conspiracy.
For too long,
That
it's been a
editing.
blind spot.
Ad
What
starting
was
in
the
1
Red Scare to
second.
Quintel Pro? What was the murder of Fred Hampton, of Malcolm X, of Medgar Evers, of various freedom writers,
Mhm.
of countless other people throughout the civil rights and Black Power movement, the imprisonment of various Black revolutionaries, indigenous revolutionaries, etc. There are still people from the Black Panther Party and Black Liberation Army that are incarcerated or who have
Mhm.
died in prison. Assata Shakur fled the US, fled state custody, and died in Cuba.
Mhm. Very recently, too. May I suggest an anti-fascist song? Yes, I would love that. It's not a blind spot. It's recorded. It's just nowhere near the problem. Yep, exactly. All of this, like, bad faith framing. It's like, they aren't even good at lying. They aren't even good at their propaganda. And, like, propaganda used to be a little more sophisticated in many ways, I have to say, of, like, even, like, King James, not like I'm giving him any credit, but, like, embarking on a version of the Bible, that's more sophisticated than, like, Marco Rubio barely being able to look into the camera and be like, we have a blind spot. It's leftist violence, as he has dead eyes. That's like, he's not even good at lying. These people aren't good at lying. And this goes to show that, like, they don't have to be, because they already have all of these powers at their disposal, that they have money and capital, and that they are protected by the system itself. Yeah, I'll love to show that song. Thank you.
And then what did he say? What the fuck did he just say? And then he said, it's treated as a right-wing fever dream. No, what? I mean, under Obama, under Biden, left-wing activists were still being targeted, just in a slightly different way. Like, for real. Like, think about the different people who disappeared or killed in Ferguson. Think about the person that is still serving prison time for allegedly lighting something on fire in a gas station in Ferguson. And then, like, or worse, as a dangerous fascist conspiracy. This is what I really don't get language-wise about the government right now, about the US government. Left-wingers are bad. DEI is bad. Trans people need to be out of public life. These are fascist tropes, fascist tools of controlling society, defining the other, spreading conspiracies, creating a reality where those conspiracies are corroborated by fake science and whatever.
Yeah, which is why fascism is a continuation of colonization, because we're saying that as we're learning about King James VI/1 in Shakespeare's day, how he embarked on this very same thing.
Actively happening, along with funding for all of this shit. The US government designates anti-fascism as a terrorist organization. So, like, logically, let's just look at it. If you are against fascism, why would you say anti-fascism is bad? When, what was it?
Hello.
When Charlottesville happened.
Or the administration currently, sorry to keep interrupting him.
And
but-
Heather Hayes was
Okay.
down.
There we go. I'm not wanting to pause on an unflattering frame. Also, them defunding the Southern Poverty Law Center that actively investigates white power groups. Maybe it's because there are white supremacists and Klansmen that exist in the administration, that have existed in many of these power structures, like in law enforcement, in ICE, in the halls of power, all of these things. Like, this has been a thing. They just don't want it exposed.
Murdered in cold blood by a car. What did Trump say? There's good people on both sides. When January 6thers stormed the US Capitol, broke into a federal building, attacked police officers, threatened politicians, Trump was like, oh, I mean, whatever. And then you tried to start over $1 billion anti-weaponization fund to protect these people? Is attacking the left, far left, a dangerous fascist conspiracy, or is it a dangerous fascist reality? Just answer that. Just answer that. Okay, we got to keep going.
It's treated this way by many in the press, by many in academia and our universities, and by many of our legacy institutions. You will no doubt see the dogma rear its head in the coverage of this very conference. In spite of the clear...
Also, I saw the headline today. I need to read into it more. Did you know that the FBI is not going to be investigating shootings by ICE anymore? Legacy institutions.
Yeah, like they ever were, let's be honest.
In spite of the clear and the undeniable reality, in spite of the objective numbers and statistics, in spite of the fact that in this room today...
Okay, even objective numbers and statistics. Who created the term alternative facts? I'm only 6 minutes in. This video is 47 minutes long.
This kind of organized violence and terror will be dismissed. It will be dismissed as a partisan fiction. A whole industry grew up in our countries around the study of extremism. We have think tanks and fellowships and journals and consultancies with the unspoken understanding among them that the only kind of political violence that was a true threat to our system, that only one kind of political violence was a true threat to the system. A bomb planted by a neo-Nazi group was a nefarious and murderous act of evil. It is. But a bomb planted by a Marxist revolutionary, well, that's just merely a tragic excess of idealism. Perhaps its means...
When has the system ever viewed it as that? Never.
...placed or overzealous, but its ends were virtuous and just. That's the implication of how they treat it. For years, this extraordinary ideological prejudice was embedded in the way we talked about political violence and extremism. It was repeated again and again until it was accepted as the neutral and objective baseline, so entrenched in the mainstream conventional wisdom that it came to be regarded as an apolitical fact. It is the reason why, here in my country, so many people in positions of power have repeatedly dismissed acts of violence and even terrorism as legitimate forms of political expression, so long as they served a left-wing cause. It is why during those so-called George Floyd riots in the summer of 2020, as criminals and extremists burned and looted their way through America's great cities and nearly brought the country to its knees, city governments all across the country simply refused to prosecute the people conducting these acts of violence and terror. It is the reason...
This is where I get more angry. The right wing loves to paint like BLM protests, protests against police brutality, state violence, etc., as opportunities for fringe outside agitators to come in and to incite violence. Instead of understanding or maybe believing in the reality that basically anywhere that people live, with economic inequality, with segregation in terms of their neighborhoods, with hoods, with ghettos, with poor communities. There are
redlining,
thousands, if not millions, of people in certain neighborhoods or all around the US that fucking hate the US government.
Mm-hmm.
Either because their schools are under-resourced, because the police come in and brutalize people, or because just countless reasons. And to say that people reacting to what the past 15 or so years of BLM protests and constant like video footage of police killings, it's outside agitators coming in to take advantage of the protests, like it negates the raw human emotion and frustration that people legitimately have. And white college kids get to react violently after like sporting events. White college bros get to rape and sexually assault and pay off the judges and have expensive lawyers and all these other things. Like, what is Trump? It's confusing to me when the government decides what violence is, but then also undermines the material impact of state violence.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this is what I mean, like when I bring up like Max Weber's like notion about the monopoly on state violence. Like, this is real. Like, this is very, very real. And it's also like just wild because Marco Rubio's from Cuba, and he's a benefactor of a immigration system that actually has processes that aren't just meant to wholly incarcerate people, even though fuck immigration. You know that?
For the now infamous image, maybe you all recall this, of a news anchor from a very prominent agency, a news anchor, standing in a neighborhood, consumed in flames. Meanwhile, the chyron on the bottom read that the protests were mostly peaceful. This was something worse than a double standard. Left-wing violence was...
It's not an accident as well that he is racializing this. This is what fascists do, of trying to say that this violence especially is coming from Black Lives Matter movements as well, of like, this can't be separated from the white supremacist agenda. The chyron, I know. I know. This is what I mean. They aren't even good at it. This person who has no charisma, no magnetism, like, clearly cannot be speaking in a way that is drawing in a crowd. It just is pure hatred that they have to rely on by fueling people's worst inclinations, because it's not like they're even good at being evil sometimes, or like they are presenting an appealing way to want to follow them. I don't even read, I know.
Excused.
And it's like, and this isn't the only time. This isn't the only time that this has happened, of like that video showing him, or like other moments in this whole speech is just like, what? You're bad at this.
It was treated as sacrosanct, a protected class unto itself.
Dangerous language. A protected class unto itself. So this reminds me of when the right wing designates, like, they try to say like saying fuck 12 is like a hate crime against police officers. Trying to designate a job as a protected class of people, or to designate hating that job as a hate crime. It doesn't make any fucking sense. You can quit your job, you can get a new job. Police officers are civil servants that are just paid to commit violence against communities, blah, blah, blah. They want to make that a protected class.
Fuck 12, yeah, exactly.
But they're also trying to say that left-wing protesters are their own protected class. What the fuck has happened throughout US history? Like the Confederacy, the demands of the history of the Confederacy still being around, the wave of trying to erase Black, Indigenous, and LGBTQIA histories. Like, this whole protected class notion is so weaponized by the right wing because they're trying to say that being progressive and fair and caring about human rights and demanding that we take action on that and be respected for taking action, whether violently or non-violently, depending on who it is. That's a protected class. But the white supremacists who are in police departments, the domestic abusers, the police unions parading around money, the money that funds trips to Israel and all these other things, like, I'm confused about
Yep, where
what
they
they think a
train with the
protected class is,
IDF.
because to me, a protected class is a group of people that are protected by institutions, money, and resources that literally help them uphold power. And the left wing can have people power, can have collective power, but in terms of institutional power in the American project, these are all myths that are being spread. And then he's about to say the era has to end. When did it begin? When did it begin? After Quintal Pro? You mean with the war on drugs and the US funneling drugs into countless poor Black and brown communities? Or maybe the wave of police violence that was known as stop and frisk throughout the 90s and 2000s? Or maybe it was the mass amounts of hypersurveillance that was kind of funded and supported post 9/11? Or maybe the 2008 economic collapse? Or maybe all those prescription drugs being funneled into communities? Like, do you get what I'm saying?
We remember the Weather Underground, which bombed the Pentagon, which bombed the State Department, and bombed the Capitol. We remember the Black Liberation Army, which staged armed robberies and executed police officers at point-blank range. We remember the Symbionese Liberation Army, which shot a public school superintendent to death with cyanide-packed hollow point bullets. In one 18-month period, between 1971 and 1972, the FBI counted some 2,500 bombings on American soil, a rate of nearly 5 a day. The overwhelming share of that violence.
What did the state do to countless people in those organizations? Lie, 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 stalk, torture, kill. Like, do you get what I'm saying? When the state is selling a packaged version of history to you where it is always
Yep,
on the right
Mayday.
side,
Yep.
and it doesn't name any of the pre-existing conditions or contexts, what about the fucking Vietnam War?
Violence came from left-wing extremists. Between 1970 and 1980, 93% of terrorist attacks in the West came from the far extremist left. These are numbers that would shock most Americans today, because we've been taught to believe that this kind of political violence, it simply doesn't exist, or it's being exaggerated. But it does exist, and we're actually underestimating it. And our nations bear the scars to prove it. And today we face a new wave of this old evil. Here in the United States, the share of left-wing terrorist attacks and plots has risen to levels not seen in decades. In Germany, far-left violence has jumped by more than 40% in just the last year alone. In Greece, more than 80% of radical violence is now driven by far-left and anarchist activities.
And it's interesting because he's choosing countries that have been designated by NSPM 7 to have anti-fascist organizations that are like worth designating as terrorists. So they're working off of previous determinations. They're gaining statistics, alternative facts in my mind, and they're furthering the narrative that and what I really want to dig in on eventually in another video is the histories of anti-fascism in these other countries, because these countries have long histories of anti-fascism. So how do you expect a political entity to just disappear, especially when fascism is on the rise? Like that it's just what I don't get. Like, are these groups reacting to fascist tendencies and violence in their government and the state, or are they just reacting to a pretend fascist violence in order to monopolize power and to terrorize the public? Those two things are very different. What did they say? Every accusation is a confession. And what I'm fascinated by with fascism is how it both purports the left wing to be entirely
your
weak
stream froze.
and so overwhelmingly strong. They're doing all these bombings
I hope
and
I can get
ambushing
back
and
up
all
for you
these things.
soon.
It's coordinated.
Nice. You're back. Glad to have you.
Information systems and funding across nations. There's the joke about leftists passing around the same $5. What fucking money? Two, it's so powerful. Oh my God, oh my God. yet it's weak. It drains the color from the world. It doesn't have any meaning,
Yeah,
etc.
what money? I love that.
And this is the conundrum of fascism. Like, it needs to paint the enemy as all powerful and also a pipsqueak, nothing, meaningless, like a septum wearing bleach-haired punk from the suburbs or whatever. When there are revolutionaries and radicals who have spent decades fighting on the right side of history, opposing pipelines, opposing police brutality, opposing the international military-industrial complex, opposing fucked up healthcare systems and drugs being funneled into communities, opposing countless overreaches of the surveillance state and beyond, and defending human rights through a variety of tactics makes you an enemy to the state. A government that is supposed to protect its people in the country. But throughout all of this messaging, we see that the country will always matter more than the people. And this is what I don't get when political elite try to sell our reality back to us when we live in our reality more than
We
they
have an
ever
ad
will.
starting in about
You really
25
do.
seconds.
And as a poor person, as a Black person, as a queer person, as someone from an immigrant family, all of this just sounds like bullshit to me. Like an overwhelming need to tear down what greater men have built. What greater men have built. What greater men have built. The American project is built on indigenous
Yeah, it is about
genocide and
co-opting people's
transatlantic
minds.
slavery. And there are still entire pockets of the country that are defending the Confederacy. What greater men have built. Raping, breeding, torturing people, selling children, eating people, stringing people up, lynching them, putting it on postcards. What greater men have built? What kind of fucking company do you keep, Marco Rubio, that you would describe? It's when rich elite people try to tell you what history is, try to tell you what reality is, try to tell you what violence is, what justice is, what humanity is, what life is. Remember what you thought government was when you were a kid. Remember how you reacted to the Holocaust and slavery at your most innocent and humane. How you felt when you saw footage of Philando Castile being murdered, or Sandra Bland being dragged out of her car, or of Rodney King being beaten, surrounded by police officers, or of the countless ICE murders that have happened recently. When a rich person or a political elite tries to tell you what reality
Just to
is,
correct the record, the caption thought he said ISIS. He said ICE.
they have no shared experience with their life when they're literally paid to be a part of the government and to separate themselves from the general populace. When they don't acknowledge the lack of food in various communities, the over-policing, the countless people that are in jail awaiting trial, no lawyers, no funds for anything. That the criminal justice system as we know it in the US is shit. The immigration system as we know it and have always known it is shit. ICE agents, Border Patrol agents going to the desert, scattering people, sexually assaulting them, following ambulances, arresting people who are going through medical crisis, shooting people at point blank range and allowing them to bleed out while someone is across the street recording, using the same tactics as the Israeli occupation, exporting it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I would be dumb to live in a reality in my body and my world experience and believe whatever bullshit Marco Rubio is saying. It's important.
Is a fatal cancer to civilization. And the greatest risk that we have is that our institutions have grown too soft and too cowardly to be able to defend themselves against a mortal threat. If your civilization is your home, you must defend it with the same passion and force as if an enemy intruder is inside your own house where your family lives. That is the level of dedication and urgency that is required.
A place that being in our struggle has done more for me than I can ever do for the struggle of our people, so that I believe that anybody who wants to be sane and healthy on this planet has to understand that you cannot live the bottom of a garbage can and be happy. In order to be happy, you have to start to remove the garbage. And that means becoming active, that means becoming conscious, that means becoming aware, and that means studying and struggling and loving and becoming people. People who love people instead of being people who are alienated from other people, who are being used by the government. We have to learn a new way of living. We have to build communities, build a sense of community, build a sense of freedom, our own space where we can sit in peace and love. And I think
these are processes of reasoning that they're trying to purport onto the public. There are people that are watching this on right-wing news.
This text overlay says, what does it tell you that the US government wanted to kill Assata Shakur? What does it tell you when a government wants to kill people that are willing to die for their own liberation and the liberation of others?
And agreeing with it. And I believe it's any of our responsibilities to not only be in solidarity with people that have been maimed, tortured, disfigured, brutalized by the American project, but to be in solidarity with other nations as well that are learning from the...
Not to interrupt what he's saying, but just to include more of this text overlay. It is our collective responsibility to not allow fascism's desire for unmitigated violence to continue to exist. When an elite power tells you what your reality is, you must decide for yourself what is truth.
Systems and languages and processes of fascism that we're enabling right now. It's absolutely disgusting. It's confusing. Some themes that I'm noticing: anti-fascists are this big, horrible enemy, but yet they're also weak-minded, don't have a soul, don't have spirit, just want violence for violence sake. Why does the US spend so much on its military? Why are we spending so much on the border? Why are we investing billions of dollars into AI technology helmed by men that literally don't care about the continuation of humanity? A government is supposed to protect its people and the country? No, it's there to protect profit.
Capital.
Also, the underselling of right-wing and alt-right violence, the manosphere, sexual assault, denigrating women, Black, brown, trans, non-binary people in public spaces, encouraging violence against these communities, the shootings that have happened in LGBTQ nightclubs, the attacks of Indigenous people, women, Black people in public space, the hyper-visible violence of ICE and Border Patrol and these systems of violence along the border. 2 decades of alt-right violence that we've seen on the rise in the US, and suddenly it's like, poof, now it's just the left. Now we just got to worry about the left. Who cares about like mass shootings? There's this real violence that's happening out in the world, but we don't want to speak to any of the violence that the American project has done. Any of it. Like none of it was mentioned there.
Because it doesn't support the narrative
Honestly,
that they want.
I just pay attention to these kinds of conferences and ministerials. Keep up to date on the different forms of repression that are happening. I'm definitely doing more uploads to my Repression Watch series. If you haven't checked out some of the other episodes, please do. It is so important that we keep our finger on the pulse of what fascism is trying to sell us and other people, because these argumentative turns and shifts in these characterizations of liberation movements as inherently violent, as inherently sadistic, as inherently whatever. Just remember, with the elite, every accusation is a confession. And this isn't to say that all left-wing movements or militant movements are perfect and always do the right thing and violence for violence sake is willy-nilly. Like, we actually have to have an analysis of violence that doesn't just trust what the state tells us. And we actually have to understand what self-defense looks like. What self-defense looks like. What it does look like for Indigenous people. What it does look like for Black people. What it does look like for queer, brown, trans, poor people. Sex workers are seen as undocumented. What does self-defense look like? And what does a fascist government call it when regular people try to defend them?
Whoops, sorry. I didn't mean to show you the back end. I was trying to open this link from before. This song that you shared, Bunso. Behind the scenes. I don't understand anti-gun people who are still into self-defense topics. Immoral, just, I know. Yeah, of course. Wait, where did the link go? Why is it not showing up in the chat? Could you possibly resend that? I don't know where that went. Behind the scenes, I know, you get to see all of it. Don't look. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to show it, but also give it the time it deserves too. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's off topic. I mean, I've had like a long evolution of like my relationship to gun ownership, especially growing up in a very conservative place, and the people that I was surrounded by who mostly had guns were very scary to me. Of like growing up in a very conservative white place that was like, I was taught to like, oh, this is what we need for freedom, but then also like having more distance from certain groups of people, like especially the more like white supremacist people that primarily were the ones who had guns. That was like, oh, I'm scared of them, and so then I'm also associating them with having guns or with like mass shootings. And I think the more I had distance from just liberalism in general, I think there is a certain amount of privilege that goes with people who are just anti-gun, especially if you do not know or try to learn about the history of gun laws, like learning about how like gun control laws were used primarily to make it so people who were freed from slavery would not have guns, or all of these restrictive laws towards people who were indigenous to not have guns. And just talking about like the deeply racist history behind it all, like the more I learned about that, that was like, oh yeah. And also, you know, experiencing right-wing aggression myself, being like, yeah, it makes sense why people have guns. It makes sense why people want to defend themselves, you know? To be anti-gun is a privilege. Yep. Exactly. Wanting your group to have the monopoly on violence. Uh-huh. As if the lack of an amendment would prevent me from using a gun to fight a tyrannical government. Yep. I don't need their permission. Yeah. Especially with all of this bullshit that's going on, you know, of like, it's becoming ever necessary for people to know how to defend themselves. Free men don't ask for permission. Yep.
Me in this channel, find me on Patreon, where I do early releases of videos, where I do a monthly recap of the different kinds of media I've made every month, as well as other things that I'm paying attention to researching. And if you want to support some of my other projects, support the Dead Out of Black Anarchist podcast. Thank you for watching. Fuck fascism. Organize with your community. Talk to you later.
Prince also has some really great videos. We've watched a few of them on community organizing, direct action, black bloc, all of these various tactics that are being, and he interviews people who are directly involved. Like he himself is involved in community organizing, but brings in a lot of really great people who are doing the work, which I love to see. Okay, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen of our nation, Please join me in
This
welcoming
note does not
the
exist.
President of the United States of America.
Let me look up the lyrics.
How you guys doing? Hello. Hello. You're too kind, everybody. You're too kind.
Hey, turn the microphone up. Turn the mic up. Turn the mic up. Check, check. Hey, you know what the fuck going on, bitch? Check, check. Yeah. To be the boss, yeah, you gotta pay the cost. Put your hands up like you getting stopped by that cops. Fuck a Nazi. My chopper hit him right between the eyes. They turn us on each other. It's your brother you despise. Kanye West can suck my dick until he dies. I'm on a mission to murder corrupt politicians. Nobody wanna listen. Too busy arguing, bitching, and dissing one another to make a noticeable difference. You wanna get rich? Pay the price. Yes, sir. Your tweet got 100,000 likes. Yes, sir. About how we should separate blacks and the whites. Yes, sir. They wanna separate it. We can never fight. Yes, sir. Right, left, right, left, right. Yes, sir. Got the opposition staring down the pipe. Yes, sir. Tell me, are you maggots and mice? No, sir. Would you give your life? Sir, yes, sir. For the billionaire on a yacht. Yes, sir. For the politician at the top. Yes, sir. For peace and justice abroad. No, sir. I am your God. Sir, yes, sir. Yeah. To be the boss, yeah, you gotta brainwash and torture. Pull up with bars made of napalm and torture. Enforce my laws with bombs and kill communists for starting it. I tear them apart. Add a star to the flag. You can die if you a fag or brown colored. I don't give a fuck about no other than money. It's always sunny in space. I will escape if need be. I leave you living in feces knee deep, bitch. Take from the poor and make the rich more lit. There ain't no hope for your generation. Go slit your wrist. I'll buy up every single house and produce the food. So if you hungry and sick, you can lick the bricks. We got plenty of funds for weapons, but none for books, for healthcare. I buy guns. Give praise to the white, blue, and the red. I'm always eating good. That's why they call me the Fed.
Let's get this show on the road.
Damn. Yeah, that's a good find. Do you know if he happens to be queer? I'm curious. Another one, if it's okay. Called Get Off My Yard by the same artist. Yeah. He said the F slur with a hard F. Yeah, which is not, you know, my favorite, but also being a queer person, it's not like I'm not used to hearing that. But also him saying that, like, from looking at the lyrics of, like, that being a reason why people are killed, yeah. Appreciate the representation, how he was talking from the ops perspective. Yep. Yeah. We can hold that nuance. White supremacist cult sabotaging St. Louis. Ugh. Ew.
Yeah, he talking sweet like a cavity, talking shit, it could go down like gravity. Step into me, that's a fantasy, I am a living calamity. I'm gradually losing my sanity, I went from ganja to flipping profanity. They profit off all our depravity, that's the reality.
Got tabs open. I know I have so many tabs.
Don't go around here. Out the yard. Get out my yard. Get the fuck out the yard. Get out of my yard. Get the fuck out the yard. Whipping F-150, not a car. Picking up an ugly bitch at the bar. On the porch, string broke on my guitar. Bitch, you better get the fuck out the yard. Bitch, you better get the fuck out the yard. Bitch, you better get the fuck out the yard. Bitch, you better get the fuck out the yard. Bitch, you better get the fuck out the yard. I quit smoking except for the beats that I rap on, green like broccoli. I keep it going forever, no matter the weather, bitch, there ain't no stopping me. They wanna take away everything we own like it's a game of Monopoly. I turn a fence to an earthworm, bury him deep in the dirt on my property. The only girl that I got is a foreman. I keep me a Smith like a Mormon. I take a sip of the moonshine, spinning like I was a storm that's forming. Knocking shit over like hurricane.
Smell like a Mormon?
Like polyurethane. I can do this forever like plastic. I make it strike like the tip of a matchstick. Talking like Aristotle when I rap, a philosopher greater than Plato.
Yeah,
tomatoes at me,
I keep me a Smith like a Mormon.
Popping me water like Donald. I ain't talking Ronald, I'm talking the duck.
Like
Speaking
Joseph
of
Smith.
ducks, you bugging like Daffy. I stretch you like Taffy, I don't give a fuck. I just blew up a Cybertruck. I just butt fucked Elon Musk. Indian boy, so you know my bitch told me my dick looked just like an elephant tusk. I'm playing Mario Bros with Zuck. I leave a devil with wings and a halo. I just shot up the Amazon warehouse and sent a .52 Jeff Bezos. Bitch, you better get the fuck out the yard, out the yard. Bitch, you better get the fuck out the yard. Get out my yard. Bitch, you better get the fuck out the yard, out the yard. Bitch, you better get the fuck out the yard. Get out of my yard. Yeah, nothing is publicized, maybe self-immolating like a monk. Yeah, I keep it still like a trunk dude. Fuck Joe Biden and President Trump too. Yeah, as long as 12 got a gun, I got one too. Thinking about picking up Kung Fu. Yeah, to know your enemy,
He actually did that?
That was a quote by Sun Tzu. Yeah, stack your paper like a bookstore. What the fuck do you need to read books for? I get all of my information from the internet. I find whatever I look for. Yeah, I believe whatever I see, and I cannot eat anything spicy. I'm in the
And I'm like, well, I don't think he would be. I don't think he would be out here rapping. They would not take to that very kindly, but yeah, incredible.
Shooting that pistol with one hand, making my wrist hurt. I ain't a talker. If you want to chit chat, he can go speak to my fist first. Yeah, I just blew up a Cybertruck. I just butt fucked Elon Musk. Indian boy, so you know my bitch told me my dick looked just like an elephant tusk. I'm playing Mario Bros with Zuck. I leave a devil with wings and a halo. I just shot up the Amazon warehouse and sent a .52 Jeff Bezos. Bitch, you better get the fuck out the yard, out the yard. Bitch, you better
Saying he's an Indian
yard,
boy.
out my yard. Bitch, you better get the fuck out
My bitch told me my dick looked just like an elephant tusk.
out the yard. Get out of my yard. Let's get around here dressing like that. We don't call the police around these parts.
Yeah, we don't. Please, do not call the cops. You are in a state of emergency. Okay. So, that was a good find as well. Wearing a MAGA hat. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. People need to be afraid. People need to be afraid for showing their fascist inclinations. All right. Maybe I'll save... Okay. I'll save these videos for tomorrow. The one that was a Black woman's history on hoodoo, conjure, and witchcraft, since we have been talking about witches and witch hunts, modern day witch hunts, what have happened in the past. I did still want to get to Bluest Eye for Banned Book Club. Where did I put my book? I think I may have left it out there. I'm gonna continue this interview with Toni Morrison from a previous stream that we did, or that we were watching it. Or I'll start from the beginning just so that we have context. I'll play this while I'm getting my book. Whoops. I hate books. I don't know why. Kind of depends on what you're reading for me. But yeah, it is definitely like a taste in my mind. Like if you grow up around them and you develop a liking for them. I kind of think of it as like developing a taste for like certain genres of music and stuff. But also the concept of reading, especially with it being a tool of colonization and imposed by colonizers, it's like feeling like it's a necessity. I think it's good to be continuing to learn, but that doesn't have to just happen through books. So calling that out. Okay, I'm gonna go grab mine real quick.
I was in a writers group when I was in Washington. It's a nice thing I like to be without bringing something you'd written, something new. So one afternoon, I sat down on the couch. My little boy was less than a year, and he was, pulling things and doing whatever. And I was writing like this on a legal pad. And he would, go away and crawl back and so on. And I got terribly interested in what I was doing. Got really good to figure out which word came before the next and what was explosive and so on. But just, hurriedly writing it for that evening's meeting. And while I was in the middle of an extremely important sentence, he spit up. He threw up all over my face. The funny part is that I wrote around it. I mean, every woman knows that they spit up all the time. That I could take care of, but I might not get that sentence again.
Following her graduation from Howard University.
Because she first started writing when, officially her own stuff. I think people who are writers, like they're writing in other ways, but like her embarking on her creative writing in a more like official manner. She was working as an editor, and she was a mom, obviously, and that this is what it looked like for her with writing, of taking care of kids, working, and then also trying to fit in writing at the same time.
Toni Morrison obtained what she describes as a shaky M.A. from Cornell, and for the next 8.5 years she taught English, first at Texas Southern University and then at her alma mater, Howard.
I will call him now. I mean, not this instant.
In 1966, she was hired by Random House, beginning in Syracuse as a textbook editor, and a year later moved to New York City. By this time, she had acquired 2 children and a divorce. Her first novel, The Bluest Eye,
2 children.
was published in 1970.
Also, the fact that she said, or that they said a divorce, this would not have happened to a male writer. To be like, oh, he was divorced.
Serious writing began really after I took the job as a textbook editor. Perhaps it was a recent divorce or the fact that I had these 2 small children that I was the sole supporter. I know that I was not happy, and I was eager to learn my job, but my spirit was hurt, and I was very lonely. So the writing became a thing to do, after the children were asleep. Everything. I'm gonna get it. I was very confused then. The writing was something I did with relief. It was a way of ordering, I think, the universe. No, that's the point. I have some stuff that I have signed her up for already, 2 pieces, but there's lots of other stuff. There was a woman named Ivy.
Okay, we haven't gotten to this part yet. So, I did show that on a previous stream, her reading it, but I do want to play it again when we get to that part in the book. The Bluest Eye, just an incredible piece of art. I mean, as is everything that Toni Morrison writes. So for this section, we left off where Piccola, one of the main characters in the book, that she had been bullied by some boys at their school, and Maureen, the light-skinned girl who came very recently to their town, who moved in, and I've read a few places that people think that Maureen is biracial. She has light eyes, that she is treated much better than the girls that are narrating the story. So Piccola, Frida, Claudia, who are darker in skin color than what Maureen is, and that they notice the difference in behavior towards them with the adults that are around them, with the children that are around them, because of this internalizing of these oppressive systems. Maureen also seems to have more money, so there is this class difference as well. So it's addressing intersections of class and race and colorism. And so we left off at the part where once Maureen was being challenged about the things that she was bringing up because she was asking invasive questions to Piccola that involved her dad and possible abuse that her dad that Piccola's dad was abusing Piccola, and that Maureen was asking invasive questions, that it was part of the bullying that she had received. And once they started calling Maureen out and saying, like, you shouldn't ask questions like that, then, like, Maureen, with the slight amount of pushback she is getting from her peers, she then freaks out and is all offended and starts calling them and teasing them, I guess not teasing, bullying them in the way that the boys had been bullying Piccola before, using the exact same phrases and saying, like, I am cute, you're ugly. So, like, just, even though she was pretending to help out with the situation with the bullying, that it only lasted as long as she felt like she could look good or benefit from it. And that once she actually had some resistance to her own worldview and not just constantly getting her way, that she was just like some of the other people. So there's this part that I wanted to read where, like, after all of this had happened, Piccola is just like, that obviously this has an effect on her. It's very devastating. Piccola stood a little apart from us, so this is after Maureen runs away. Her eyes hinged in the direction in which Maureen had fled. She seemed to fold into herself like a pleated wing. Her pain antagonized me, so this is Claudia narrating right now. I wanted to open her up, crisp her edges, ram a stick down that hunched and curving spine, force her to stand erect and spit the misery out on the streets, but she held it in where it could lap up into her eyes. So of, like, when you see people internalize the hurt and show the hurt, how that can be like, don't do that, like, please stop, like, wanting to, like, fix the situation, of, like, don't let it affect you in that way. But, like, Piccola has experienced so many things that have already been harmful to her that it just is, like, building on top of it. Okay, and then there was this next part that I wanted to read as well. We were sinking under the wisdom, accuracy, and relevance of Maureen's last words. If she was cute, and if anything could be believed she was, then we were not, just because of seeing how she's treated so much better than they are by the adults around them, by their peers. And what did that mean? We were lesser, nicer, brighter, but still lesser. Dolls we could destroy, but we could not destroy the honeyed voices of parents and aunts, the obedience in the eyes of our peers, the slippery light in the eyes of our teachers when they encountered the Maureen Peels of the world. What was the secret? What did we lack? Why was it important? And so what? Guileless and without vanity, we were still in love with ourselves then. We felt comfortable in our skins, enjoyed the news that our senses released to us, admired our dirt, cultivated our scars, and could not comprehend this unworthiness. Jealousy we understood and thought natural, a desire to have what somebody else had, but envy was a strange, new feeling for us. And all the time we knew that Maureen Peel was not the enemy, and not worth of such intense hatred. And this is capitalized and italicized, the thing to fear was the thing that made her beautiful and not us. So the thing is white supremacy, these beauty standards, but also the systematized discrimination that it's so hard to have like a grasp on and put words to, especially as a child, when there are people functioning within a way that seems almost like these invisible forces around. I had to deep dig in my likes for these. Ooh. Neighborhood kids. Yes. Okay. I'm going to be playing, or I've had this queued up, the Put a Landlord in a Landfill for Culture Corner this week. I love that there's so many Damage fans here. Incredible. Yeah, I'll finish this section of the reading and then I'll play these. These look like good finds. I know I'm biased, but the people around here have great taste. Thank you for having great taste. Okay, so just to finish off this section, they go home, so Frida and Claudia, and Mr. Henry is living with them, and he says, like, you look like you could use some ice cream. Don't you want some? And they don't want to go back to the ice cream shop where that whole situation happened. They want to avoid that. And instead of going to the ice cream shop, they go to the candy store, and that means that it's closer, so they get back a little bit earlier. They see Mr. Henry with two of the sex workers that live above the place that Piccola lives. And it is so interesting to see how their views on these sex workers come directly from their experience with them or not. How Piccola, before this section, was shown to be friends with these sex workers, like China and Maginot Line and Marie are the women, and except it's just China and Maginot Line who are with Mr. Henry at this time. And so Piccola looks to them as being very beautiful and fierce in the way that they protect themselves and very honest with her, that they're some of the few people that actually treat her like a person, that actually will talk to her like an adult. And then in contrast, we have Claudia and Frida, who are seeing China and Maginot Line as through the eyes of their parents. And especially this very like religious perspective of saying that they're terrible women, that they're dirty. And so now they are viewing Mr. Henry in a very different way, because they're like, oh, why did he want us to leave? He was just trying to get us to go because he wanted to spend time with them. And they look in the window and see Mr. Henry kissing their fingers. So, or kissing China's fingers specifically. Was that really our Mr. Henry with China's fingers? And when they start asking him about it, Frida asks, she says, "Those women," she repeated, "who just left, who were they?" "Oh," he laughed, the grown-up getting ready to lie laugh. uh, we knew well. So, like, the fact Toni Morrison is just so wise and observant of human nature, and like the ways that she's able to describe things just profoundly understand human beings. Of like, even when you're a kid, picking up of when like an adult is about to lie to you, like those little details that also are part of the storyline of this narrative, of these things that kids pick up on, whether it is the systems, how they're being treated, whether they deserve the truth or not, why kids are being lied to, that it is all part of this this way of growing up, especially with intersections of marginalization that that are about a loss of innocence and also a development of identity as well. So he says, "Those were some members of my Bible class." And they were like, "That's not happening." They're like, "Should we tell our parents?" No. Yeah, and then they end up going to do some chores. So they each have very different perspectives as to like what that situation would be. We also have an ad starting in about 10 seconds. So Pecola sees these women who are sex workers as very strong and able to have control in situations with men, especially sexually, that Pecola feels like she and does not have control over these situations that happen to her. And so it is a very empowering, they are very empowering relationships to be had with these women. Whereas these girls, Frida and Claudia, who grow up in not understanding why people might be engaging in sex work to begin with, never being exposed to people, but just being like very demonized in ways by saying like, "Oh, this is not very Christian to be engaging in this type of activity," but also not acknowledging class and how like people need to make money to survive. So it is contrasting even between these girls of like, we see the Marines who have more money and proximity to whiteness, but then we have Claudia and Frida, who they have a little more money than what Pecola does, and Pecola experiencing all of these intersections of marginalization and how it makes it so she develops this desire to not want to be her and is deeply internalizing all of these systems, because it's easier to do that and think, "Oh, there's something wrong with me," than there is with the world that I'm existing in. All right, that's been book club. I did want to go over the next reading. So now we're on the chapter, "See the cat goes meow, meow, meow. Come and play. Come play with Jane. The kitten will not play, play, play." And we will be going to... Yes, let's go to the next section of spring. So it's a little bit longer of a section, but... is this the one that Toni Morrison is doing the reading for? I'm gonna have to see. We'll see. Just gave Grandpa a free ounce. Nice. Hooked him up, he don't even know it. That is generous. Francis' only defense against the German invasion. Yeah. I know the names that show up in this book are very symbolic. Still have 2 ounces. That's great. Grandpa's gonna be... You didn't get any of the ads? Oh, I mean, that's good to know. I wonder if you were gifted a subscription at all. Okay. Let's play this. Put a landlord in a landfill. Not a single ad or sub? Interesting. I know you first told me about damage, Bunso, so... We have like minds over here. Oh, damn, I didn't share my screen yet. You probably couldn't hear that. Whoops.
Put a landlord
in a landfill.
Put a
landlord
in a
Especially what you've experienced lately, Bunso.
I ain't paying for you to stand still. Drop that ass, drop a band, fix my fucking sink. I've been paying all your bills, bitch, you work for me. It broke the second that I moved in. And now this motherfucker really trying to charge me. Bitch, I'm from New Orleans. I'ma suck your mama, cause who the fuck raised you? Bitch, this in the apartment, and you think I'ma pay you 2/3 of my money for me to fucking wait? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 business days. Look, I got work and I got shit I gotta do. So get your dusty ass shoes about my room before I show your ass a brand new altitude. You think this tension palpable until I turn you into concrete and a rose grew out of you. I know your papa raised a capitalist, he probably proud of you, but you a leech. Get a job, you a bum, you a fiend. I bake your pie and you so take a slice of me. Put a landlord in a landfill. I ain't paying for you to stand still. Drop that ass, drop a band, fix my fucking sink. I've been paying all your bills, bitch, you work for me. I'm trying to put a landlord in a landfill. I ain't paying for you to stand still. I've been paying all your bills, bitch, I'm smoking in the crib. Give a fuck about how you feel. 2 weeks just to fix a bitch AC. That's why I've been feeling homicidal lately. Trying to hit a landlord with an 8-piece wop, bitch, you my hoe.
This Squidward painting.
Your fucking bank account up while you living lazy. These motherfuckers think I'm crazy. Nah, these motherfuckers think that I'm making 3 times a rap, but I'm promising that I don't. Thanks to Photoshop, my bank account looks swole. I'm just trying to stay off the pole. Got me contemplating trying to rob a bitch, but I'm not a pot.
Look, fuck my landlord. If I'm late on the rent, I'ma fuck my landlord. Think I'm in a damn porn. Ain't no love near smoking with the bugs here. Don't be coming around when I'm not home. I got drugs here. If she saw the powder piles, I'd be on the streets. My homies living here with me, but they not on the lease. Washer, dryer, leaking in the sink. I ain't paying you on time if you don't fix the shit this week. Look, if I don't get back my security deposit, I'm coming to the office and shooting everybody in that bitch. Yeah, and when I get it back, I'ma spend that bitch. Next crib I live in, I promise I won't rent that bitch. Tryna put a landlord in a landfill. I ain't paying for your dumb ass to stand still. If you try and raise the rent, get your fam killed. I'm tired of these damn bills.
I'm trying to put a landlord in a landfill. I ain't paying for you to stand still. Drop that ass, drop a band, fix my fucking sink. I've been paying all your bills, bitch, you work for me.
In a landfill.
Yay. One time.
Said, woke up in the morning and I smelled the fresh pollution. Television never tried to show my execution.
Said, who's there?
Thank you. I constantly am muting myself. Yeah. I have not heard of the Neighborhood Kids. Thank you.
Just a kid from the neighborhood. I've been trying to start a revolution for the greater good.
It's the revolution coming, marching on your street. Always use your voice for the ones who cannot speak.
It's the ones who go to war from the belly of the beast. And I'm coming from the underground, you hear it in my speech.
Leave us speechless.
From the second that I speak this.
Please believe this.
Give the youth the truth, they really need this.
Uniqueness, said they like to treat us like we three-fifths. The kids are always
all the
this from the second
flags,
that the
Palestine,
beat.
Congo,
It's the evil and the ugly.
Ukraine.
It's the crooks.
It's the cash.
And the people with the money.
Yeah, every day ain't sunny when your nose is getting runny and the people start to laugh, but ain't a damn thing funny. Yeah, bitty bitty boom boom, bitty bitty bang. This the type of music that my people gon' sing. Say bitty bitty boom boom, bitty bitty bang. This the type of music that my people gon' sing. Say bitty bitty boom boom, bitty bitty bang. This the type of music that my people gon' sing. Say bitty bitty boom boom, bitty bitty bang. This the type of music that my people gon' sing. It's the nitty, the gritty, the smug that's in the city.
Yeah, nothing's been the same since they killed Pac and Biggie.
I might check 1, 2.
They always try to cut you off when you start to speak the truth.
So what's the truth and what's the lie? Why the U.S. always funding genocide? And what is war?
And what is peace? And what's our business always in the Middle East?
They take stakes and make tanks and make banks. The West Bank, they bang bang and gang bang. They slave trade and slang things like AKs, grenades made to raise flames and make ways to end race.
Why? It's for the
Money and the power.
It's the higher ups and they be hungry and devour. Rich eat the poor, but I hope it stays sour. The house of cards will fall and soon the world will all be ours.
Hours on the clock, go tick tock. Your wristwatch has been stopped. The rich watch your kids' thoughts and get taught to keep them lips locked. And it stops when kids are taught through hip hop.
It's hip hop, 4 elements combined. This that type of feeling that be running through your spine. It's the MCs that be holding on the mic. It's the DJs that be scratching all the time. It's the B-boys that be spinning on their minds. It's the graph heads that be writing on the signs. And it's hip hop, and it's always been alive. And it's hip hop, and it's never gonna die. Say bitty bitty boom boom, bitty bitty bang. This the type of music that my people gon' sing. Say bitty bitty boom boom, bitty bitty bang. This the type of music that my people gon' sing. Say bitty bitty boom boom, bitty bitty bang. This the type of music that my people gon' sing. Say bitty bitty boom boom, bitty bitty bang. This the type of music that my people gon' sing.
Damn. Damn.
Neighborhood Kids, this is the Bitty Bomb music video shoot. We're all messed up, but we did it. Keanu almost had a heat stroke. We all did. We're out here.
Person who directed it.
Neighborhood Kids, Bitty Bomb music video, out now. Make sure to stream it. Free
Thank
content,
you for
free
sharing
life,
this.
Free everyone. Free to people. The Neighborhood Kids.
Incredible art and advocacy. Rest in peace to all the innocent people of the world, especially those in Palestine, Sudan, Congo, Armenia, Haiti, Iran, Lebanon, Yemen, Jordan, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Mexico. Free these places and free the world. Incredible. Okay. I'll play what you shared, Boonso, and then we'll get to the reading. Ooh! I think we went over this for a culture corner one time. This is the first song that I heard of Damage. I'd heard of Amber Ryan. It's absolutely worth rewatching. No, not Oopsie.
32 paid the dirt. Native land bodies buried deep in the earth. In the story, everybody bound to get burned. Even in cells that wanna put me on a shirt. We all want the same things. Look, I seen all the evil, you could never heal it. Historically repeated, try to counter steer it.
All of their styling too. Yeah, colonizing brown men. I mean, the lyrics are incredible, but also the fashion, amazing. And with the previous music video, like the illustration of what is going on, of like these people making all these decisions, the blood of them exchanging like all of these gambling tokens with people's lives.
Skating checks like contraband. Yeah, we all tired. Yes, we all try. Village to villages to build our empires. Everybody gotta make some sacrifices. The blood on our hands, that's just what the price is. We all want the same things. From the hills to the ghettos. I'ma let the dog out the kennel. Heat rising up like a kettle. We all wanna change things. But if they start me out, I'ma have to go full metal. Nobody's safe in a gated residential.
Now tell me what you want, what you really want. Freedom to, freedom from, free from all the above. What would you do for it? Would you shoot for it? Would you demonize people in the news for it? Wanna run the country, but you won't loot a shoe store? Froggy ass bitches get it boiled.
I don't know what this song is about, truly. And yeah, of like talking about the continued colonization of US policy being so violent that like we all want to just survive, you know?
Warm. We all want the same things. My enemy might want it more. We ain't got nothing to lose. Their world was built for them. It's an extinction burst. They know that time is running out, so who gon' get there first? We all born with bloodlust, so who gon' quench the thirst? You want your hands free from dirt? Who gon' heal the earth? Revolution rooted in love. I'll shoot my way to God. Revolution rooted in love of everything I'm not. Revolution rooted in love. Is this evolution of us or just another swing back of almighty pendulum?
We all want the same things. From the hills to the ghettos. I'ma let the dog out the kennel. Heat rising up like a kettle. We all wanna change things. But if they start me out, I'ma have to go full metal. Nobody's safe in a gated residential.
All want the same thing. From the hills to the ghettos. I'ma let the dog out the kennel.
We all wanna change things.
But if they start me out,
I'ma have to go full metal. Nobody's safe in a gated residential.
What do you see as the meaning of the term revolutionary?
The revolutionary wants to change the nature of society in a way to promote a world where the needs and interests of the people.
It sounds like Angela Davis. Incredible. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, like we all just are wanting to survive, but that people shouldn't be surprised when people are under these, like the people who are controlling our circumstances, the ruling class, that people are not willing to take it any longer. Like rising up is a part of survival and protecting ourselves. Thank you for all of these great shares, everyone. Like I said, I know I'm biased, but I think the people here have great taste. Oh, Kit's in here too. Hi, bud. I don't know if you could hear him. Hi. Ooh. Hi. Can you see him? Oh, yep. You can see him right there. Huh. Oh, he's leaving. All right. Shall we get into Macbeth? read a little bit of Shakespeare. Okay, this scene is pretty short, but I think that fits because I am gonna have to leave in a couple of minutes. That's a good spot. Okay. So we left off how in the previous scene, the three witches announce to Macbeth that he will be Thane of Cawdor, and he already is Thane of Glamis, so they announce that. They also say that he will be king. So this gets the wheels turning, and really it just, in my mind, it's about revealing Macbeth's inclinations already, that he is very willing to act upon these thoughts, that it didn't really take a whole lot to push him in the direction of like, maybe I should kill the king, that he's already starting to think that as soon as it is told him this prophecy, or just revealing what's already in his heart, depending on how you look at it. Okay, we do have an ad starting in 30 seconds. Flourish. So this is a stage direction that usually means like trumpets announcing someone entering. Enter King Duncan, Lennox, Malcolm, Donalbain, and attendants. Oh boy. Did I have a Malcolm before that I did a voice for? Especially at the beginning, I'm having a hard time keeping track of people's voices. Oh, wait. Yes, we did have Malcolm. And Lennox. I don't remember which voices I did for them, so we'll see what happens. King Duncan. Is execution done on Cawdor? Are not... Hi, back. Are not those in commission yet returned? Footnote. Those in commission, so those charged to execute Cawdor. So the Thane of Cawdor. Because Macbeth is now being chosen instead of the Thane. The current Thane, or there is a current Thane of Cawdor, but because he betrayed the king, he is being executed. So now that title and those lands are going to Macbeth. Malcolm. My liege, they are not yet come back, but I have spoke with one that saw him die, who did report that, very frankly, he confessed his treasons. I implored your highness's pardon, and set forth a deep repentance. Nothing in his life became him like the leaving it. He died as one that had been studied in his death, meaning like practiced, to throw away the dearest thing he owed, as 'twere a careless trifle. King Duncan. There's no art to find the mind's construction in the face. He was a gentleman on whom I built an absolute trust. Enter Macbeth, Banquo, Ross, and Angus. To Macbeth. O worthiest cousin, the sin of my ingratitude even now was heavy on me. Thou art so far before to overtake thee. Wait, no, I skipped a line. Thou art so far before that swiftest wing of recompense is slow to overtake thee. Would thou hadst less deserved that the proportion both of thanks and payment might have been mine? Footnote, that the king's rewards would be generously proportional to Macbeth's desert. Only I have left to say, more is thy due than more than all can pay. Macbeth. The service and the loyalty I owe is doing it. In doing it pays itself. Your highness's part is to receive our duties, and our duties are to your throne and state children and servants, which do but what they should by doing everything safe toward your love and honor, meaning safe to safeguard your love and honor. King Duncan. Welcome hither. I have begun to plant thee, and will labor to make thee full of growing. Noble Banquo, that has no less deserved, nor must be known. no less to have done so. Let me enfold thee and hold thee to my heart. So he's saying, let me embrace you. Banquo. There if I grow, the harvest is your own. King Duncan. My plenteous joys, wanton in fullness, seek to hide themselves in drops of sorrow. Sons, kinsmen, thanes, and you whose place are the nearest, I know we will establish our estate upon our eldest, Malcolm, whom we name hereafter the Prince of Cumberland. Footnote. We will settle the succession of the kingdom at the time. The Scottish crown was not hereditary. Title of the Scottish heir apparent is the Prince of Cumberland. Which honor must not unaccompanied invest in him only, but signs of nobleness like stars shall shine on all deservers. Footnote. Even repose seems wearisome when it is not dedicated to your purposes. To Macbeth. From hence to Inverness, and bind us further to you. So Inverness is Macbeth's estate. We have another... Oh, wait. I skipped a footnote. Whoops. Honors will not be bestowed on Malcolm alone. So that's what the Malcolm line, the Prince of Cumberland line was before. I don't know why I read a very different one. So this is another footnote. And make me further indebted to you by your hospitality, because they're all going to Inverness, Macbeth's estate, though, so that means like a lot of lands and other people living on these lands, as well as his own castle. Macbeth. The rest is labor, which is not used for you. Even repose seems wearisome when it is not dedicated to your purposes. So that's a footnote I read too soon. I'll be myself the harbinger, and make joyful the hearing of my wife with your approach. So humbly take my leave. So he's sending a forerunner, messenger sent ahead to arrange royal lodgings. King Duncan. My worthy Cawdor. Macbeth, aside. So he's saying this to the audience. Hi, Bug. Hi. Okay. The Prince of Cumberland, that is a step on which I must fall down or else o'erleap, for in my way it lies. Stars, hide your fires. Let not light see my black and deep desires. The eye wink at the hand, yet let that be which the eye fears when it is done to see. So also the intentional King James biblical racialized version of having blackness be associated with evil and whiteness have proximity to purity and holiness. We have another footnote. Let the eye deliberately ignore what the hand does. So he's already showing that he has kind of a conflicted conscience about it all. We have an audience. I know. She's like, why are you reading that? Like, I'm the real show. And honestly, she's right. Yeah, so Macbeth is essentially saying that he is like, I don't want to acknowledge me doing this evil deed, in order to kill the king to get what I want, to fulfill this prophecy. Omniracial. You okay? Oh, he was just stepping on something. Just made a weird noise. I don't know if the mic was able to pick up on that. Okay. I don't know what they're doing. I didn't see what happened, but apparently there was some drama. Okay. King Duncan. True worthy Banquo, he is full so valiant, and in his commendations I am fed. It is a banquet to me. Let's after him, whose care is gone before to bid us welcome. It is a peerless kinsman. So that's a pretty famous phrase, a peerless kinsman. So like, wow, someone who is peerless, who has no comparison. Because they are so great. Flourish and exunt. That's the stage direction. So another announcing by trumpets that they are leaving, and then they leave. Okay, I better see what the cat drama is about. Although I don't know if I'll understand what it means. That'll be it for me today. Tomorrow we will get into the history of Hecate, understanding the goddess of witchcraft. This is relevant to the story of Macbeth, and we'll also be talking about hoodoo and conjure, because we are also wanting to decolonize what we even understand to be witchcraft, that it is largely based off of, these colonizing projects to justify the dehumanization and violent overtaking, extraction, exploitation, genocide, ethnic cleansing of indigenous people, people of color. So we'll be talking about that. It's very related to Macbeth, as well as, the continued colonization that we are experiencing in the world today. On that light note, thank you all for being here. It was lovely being with you. Thank you for the wonderful discussion, the great references and music that you shared. I always learn a lot from you all, and I greatly appreciate it. But I hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, wherever you are, and I will see you soon. Love and peace. Yeah, same to you. All right. Okay, bye.